What is going on? Welcome to day 4 of the $0 to $100 million playbook. The first day we did offers. Second day was lead generation. Yesterday was lead nurturing. And then today is going to be all about sales. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process of how we conduct our sales calls. And then I'm actually going to play a live sales call for review so you guys can listen to it and see an actual sales call being closed that I believe I sold it for $16,000. So it's a pretty high package as well. And I think you guys will enjoy it. With that being said, let's go ahead and we'll dive into the presentation. And then at the end, we're going to go into a live sales call review. It's about 45 minutes when it's sped up. So plan today, if you want to stay till the end, it's probably going to be closer to 5 p.m. Eastern when we finish. Now, what we're going to cover today is how we've done over $100+ million in sales with this simple sales strategy and tactics. When I say tactics, I'm not saying doing something sleazy or slimy. It's just simply having a process that you follow over and over again. And the way that you build consistency and get consistent results is by doing the same thing over and over again at a very high level. Now, for those of you who missed the last few days, I don't like spending a ton of time on this, but what this picture represents is the amount of money in my bank account when I was just getting out of college and the amount of money that I've generated since 2017. And it's been quite a ride. I've really enjoyed it. And that's what this entire webinar series is about, is to show you guys 0 all the way to 100 million and all the steps that it takes to get there. And to date, we've worked with about 50,000 clients, probably more at this point, but that was the last statistic as I was making this webinar. Now, Sales 101. I've done door-to-door sales. I've done high-ticket sales. I've done low-ticket. I've done everything you can think of pretty much for the last, and even longer than that, 8+ years, 9, 10 years. And the objective of the sales call is to identify a prospect's current situation, what their desired destination is, and then show them the way to get there. It's not our job to make the sale. That's ultimately their decision. The sales will come as we do our best to serve others. And the more we sound like we don't care what the outcome is, the better it's going to be. Now, if you want to set a sales call, and at this point, you should be running ads, or you should have some type of database reactivation that you're setting these sales calls. So if I'm going to call a lead that's either opted in from an ad, or maybe I have an old email list, or I have a list of numbers, these are the numbers you're going to try to look for. So this is to set a sales call. So typically you're looking at about 1,000 dials. You're going to get a 10 to 20% pickup ratio. From there, you're going to get a 10 to 20% set ratio. And then you're going to get 1 to 2 closes. That is the amount of volume it will take to get a lead to turn into a sales call at scale. Now, depending on how warm the leads are or how cold the leads are, that number could go up or down. But again, the thing I want to point out is the amount of volume it's going to take to generate the type of income you want. A lot of people underestimate the amount of effort or what it's going to take to hit the goal. So if my team is calling leads from ads, and we cover those sections days 2 and 3, this is the expectation I'm looking for. If we're not hitting those numbers, then I figure out which number is not within KPI, and then I can identify the issue and what we need to work on. The goal for my team as well is we try to call a lead 10 times in the first week, 3 times the first day. So we're trying as hard as we can to connect to that lead to see if they are a fit for our service and then get them on a sales call as soon as possible. When a lead is the most hot is the second they opt in. That's when their pain is the highest. As days go by, they get busy, other things come up, and the chance that they fall off the face of the earth or are no longer interested go up exponentially. In fact, if you call a lead a week after, more times than not, they don't even know what they opted into. They've already forgotten about the offer. So we want to connect to this lead as soon as possible to get them on a sales call. Now, after they book, what I want to do next is go through some of the things that we send and the things that we say to get them to show up. So what I want to show you guys really quick is I'm going to exit out of this presentation and I'm going to pull up a new window and just walk you through what it looks like if someone were to book a call with me and my company. So you come right here and you click schedule now. And the first thing that happens is we take them to an application. So I'm just going to go ahead and say test, test. Please don't all do this. It's going to make my team very upset. So please just watch. That's why we're doing it on this video. We'll do test@gmail.com. And then we'll just put in a random number. Sorry for whoever's that is. Let's say I put in my IG handle. And these questions that you're seeing can change based on the offer, right? So keep in mind, this is not a science. It is a blueprint. It's an outline. The other thing to keep in mind is as your business is smaller meaning it does under 100,000 a month, I wouldn't recommend using something like Typeform, because the reason we use Typeform is it uses logic. Logic meaning, depending on the answer we give, we will send them to a different page or offer. When you're in the beginning of a business, it's not really necessary to do that. So for now, we're just going to pretend this is a really high-level lead. I sell donuts, okay? I make $6,000 or more a month. I'm willing to invest. I don't need a spouse on the call. I'm willing to move forward immediately. Submit. Once I submit, we're going to take them to the booking page. So let's say we get to the booking page here. I'm just going to pick Friday or Saturday. Now, I want to go back and I want to show you that we only allow 2 days out to book. Why? The farther out someone books, the higher chance they cancel or reschedule. So we really want to make sure that we only allow people to book 1 or 2 days out. If you get booked out, meaning you're completely maxed out, you can open it more. But the farther out people book, the higher the chance is that they're not going to show up or they're going to cancel. So in this scenario, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the latest time possible so that my team has time to cancel it. And I do want to send an email so you guys could see. And schedule. Now, once I schedule, it's going to take us to a thank you page. Now, the thank you page is to prep the prospect before the call on what they need to get ready for. So if you go to our page, you'll see I have a video here that's about, all right, guys, so if you're 1:40, so what I'll do is I'll actually play the video for you guys. I'm going to speed it up, but you guys can see what I say. Seeing this, you have booked a call with me and the team, so congrats. Just a few things to keep in mind. First and foremost, please go ahead and open up your email. There's going to be a calendar invite. Hit the yes button to accept it, and then there should be a Zoom link. If you don't have the Zoom link, feel free to reach out and or wait for our rep. They will reach out manually and make sure you guys are on the same page when the call is and or the Zoom call is. Completely up to you. We prefer Zoom, but either way, it's totally fine. The second thing is just knowing that we have a very strict no reschedule policy. What I found over the years is that if you can't be courteous enough to tell us beforehand and you wait till the last minute or you don't show up, you're not really ready to take your business to the next level. The whole reason I do this is I've done over 70 million in sales, and I don't say that to brag. I say it because there's a lot of people who want to do that. And so my goal is I don't need more money. I'm good on money. I just want to help more people genuinely. And so if you're ready to be helped, we're here for you. If you're not, please don't waste our time, because my reps are taking an hour out of their day and you don't show. It makes it so we can't talk to someone else. And at the end of the day, we're trying to find people who want to help. And then third, there's a bonus video below this. So what that video will have is about 10 to 15 minutes. How we've done 7 million sales, our ad structure, the fulfillment, copying the sales, the setting, the scripts. I want you guys to see that. And again, if you feel you can do it on your own, go for it. If you want help with the implementation, that's what we're here for. And a lot of you think that you need more information. You don't have the information probably. You just are not implementing properly. And that's where we come in. And then fourth and finally is just before the call, be in the right place, pen and paper, pay attention. This is for you. This could completely change your life. For me, at 25 years old, I was worth $2,000. Now at 31, I'm worth multiple figures. And we're making the decision to take a sales call seriously and implement what they taught. So that's all I got. Appreciate it so much. Make sure to watch that bonus video. Okay. So we'll send them this main video. We'll then have a link to our Facebook group if they want to join it. So it'll take them in here. So again, we can lead gen. And then we have another video here that breaks down, you know, my company. In this video, you can obviously tell it's old because at the time we'd done 70 million. And then we have more homework videos. So, you know, have you worked online? Have you worked with an online coach before? Or have you already spent money on a course or a coach and you didn't get a good result? Do you value time or money? So the point of the thank you page is to prep them as much as possible and to beat any objection we can before they even get to the sales call. That's the entire point here. Now, once they get this, we'll have some extra stuff about our program and different clients and all that good stuff. The next thing I want to show you is simply what emails we get. Now, these emails also come in the form of a text message. And let's see if it actually shows up. Give me a sec. Okay. So it showed up in the promotion folder, which isn't good. But you can see here, hey, you're all booked in. Join the group. Watch this video. And then check the stories inside the mastermind. So the good news is that they are now prepped for the call and they're ready to go. They get the same message via text, and the day before our reps have the call, they will text them manually. So we're making sure that they're prepped, they're ready. And then if there's an issue with the application, my messaging team or setting team will go back and find out where they booked from, and then message or text that person, whether it's DM, email, etc. Clarify the questions. If it's not a good look, they cancel. If it is a good look, then they keep them on the calendar. So we have a very stringent booking process. If you want more calls, make it less aggressive. If you want less calls, then you make it more aggressive. So hopefully that's pretty crystal clear. So that is what happens after they book a call. They get all the messages after is some form or variation of this. Okay, so I don't want you guys to get too crazy with the messages. It's just, hey, watch these videos to prep to make sure they understand what they're walking into and what we sell. And then the second thing is then making sure that we are manually texting them and just getting them to show up. That's the main things. Now, once we've done all that, we move into the actual point of sales. Now, there's really 7 points. You have the intro and the pre-frame. From the left, you have discovery or questions. You have the summary. You have what I call the 3 pillars. Then you do what's called a brief overview. Then you create certainty. And then you do the closing and objection handling. Now, the intro or pre-frame, you have 2 different ways you can do it. Now, something to note is, who are you selling to? If you're selling to someone like me, using a bunch of sales tactics is not going to be in your best interest, because I'll know what you're doing and it's going to lose. You're going to lose trust by doing so. If it's a beginner, you're able to get away with a lot of what is considered sales tactics. So if you read the top would be what I would use if I had less skill. So all you're doing with a beginner typically is saying, hey, by the end of the call, what I'm looking for is a yes or no decision. Yes means you want to work with me. No means you don't. By the end, once you have all the information, do you feel comfortable that you can give me a yes or no? That is a very basic way to frame a call, and it works better for beginners who are less skilled in sales. As you get more skilled in sales, you realize it doesn't really matter what they say, because whether they say yes or no, they still may say no at the end anyways. The nice part is that you can anchor that. So for me, the way I would take a call, if you were on a sales call with me, is I would just say, hey, John, so the point of the call is just to understand what your goal is, what you're struggling with, what you've tried. At the end of the call, if you feel what we do is a fit, great. If not, that's fine too. I just want to help you make a good decision. So that's what I'm trying to do. Are you ready to dive in? That's simple. Then we move into discovery. Now, if you're B2C, look at the top. If you're B2B, look at the bottom. B2C, again, is non-ROI offers. B2B is ROI incentivized offers. The questions you ask should paint the picture. There's not specific questions you should ask. Now, there's probably questions you're going to want to ask repeatedly, because it will make sense for the type of person you're talking to. So if I'm helping a business owner, I want to know, how do you get customers? How do you do your fulfillment? Where do you get your leads from? Do you run ads? All those things are super important. I'm going to probably ask similar questions to them. But what you're really trying to understand is their ultimate situation, where they're trying to go. So, for example, if you go in a doctor's office, they don't say, all right, let me look at my script. Okay, so first thing is, what medicine are you on? Okay, second thing is, they don't do that. They're just going, okay, so what's your issue? What's your problem? Okay, are you on medication? How do you feel right now? You have a flu? Okay, have you had this before? They're trying to understand the situation so they can give a recommendation. Doctors, over time, I realize they don't really know what's going on. They're guessing. They're making an assumption. What's cool about business, in my opinion, is I'm very good at what I do, so I can identify what the solution is for their problem, and then I just show them how to get there. And that's how you build trust and show your expertise. So these are questions you can ask, but if you didn't have a script and you had to help a family member, let's say your family member, God forbid, had cancer, and you had to help them get through that, you wouldn't just go up and say, all right, let me ask you these 10 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4. You would say, well, look, what's your goal? Do you want to fight the cancer? Do you just want to live with it until you pass away? Okay, how many doctors' opinions have you gotten? Okay, when did you find out about this? What does your wife say? Do you have a whole life insurance policy to cover you if you pass away? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to understand the situation so you can give advice. So don't become a robot and just have a script where you just say whatever the script is. This is a guideline. This is a table of contents. Treat it that way. This is not gospel. These questions you're seeing are not the only questions you should ask, nor are they in any particular order. These are things for you to think about so you can understand the situation. Hopefully that makes sense. The next thing is then you summarize. Very simple. So after we go through the discovery, we just say, look, John, it sounds like the biggest thing for you is this, and you're looking for this. So if we can figure this out in a way where you're 100% confident we can deliver on that, would you be willing to move forward today? The goal for a sales call is we want to make them make a decision. It does not matter what the decision is. The goal is to get them to make a decision. If they leave the call without making a decision, you did not do your job. So we have to raise certainty as high as possible that they want what we have, that they have resources, and they want to do it today. If they don't give me those answers, I'm not really in a position to make the sale. So why take the call? After summary, we move into what we call the 3 pillars. Now, the 3 pillars is how I describe how you sell your offer, how you market it, how you talk on the phone, everything in between. It's super, super important. If you have a B2B offer, let's just use elite CEOs. What I do is the first thing that most clients have an issue with is their offer. So if you're on this call, you're interested in what elite CEOs has to offer, or you at least like me, or maybe you don't like me and you're just here anyways, right? I don't know. Let's assume you like me if you're here, hopefully. The first thing I talk about is the offer. So what I do is I try to get someone to understand on the left-hand side is I go, well, look, here's what most people do with offers. Here's what we do, and here's why it's better. Here's an example. The 3 pillars should be the top 3 things that your client struggles with or that they want fixed. For us at Elite CEOs, it's offer, leads, and then it's who to trust. People are very scared. They don't have leads usually, and they're not sure they're selling their offer the right way, or they have a back end issue or a fulfillment issue, something around the offer. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar I hit on, I call it the faucet system. The words you call it do not matter that much. You just usually want them to create curiosity. So for example, when Bulletproof Coffee came out, part of what made people interested is they go, ooh, Bulletproof Coffee, what is that? Oh, it's where you put butter in coffee. It sounds way better to say Bulletproof Coffee than butter in coffee. You follow? We want to drive curiosity. The more curious we make people, the better response we're going to get. That's why viral content as well, it is usually super outrageous or it's super controversial because it draws more attention. We're trying to draw attention. So drive attention by making it curiosity driven. On the faucet system, I do the same thing. Here's how most programs show you how to get leads. Here's how I will show you how to get leads. Here's an example. So the first 2 pillars is usually a strategy play. Here's the strategy or here's the mechanism that you need that is the reason you're not successful. When people come on a call, they don't want to be told, well, the reason you're not successful is you're not very good at sales. Or the reason you're not successful is you're not very good at ads. They want to hear that there's one little thing they're not doing, the silver bullet to becoming a millionaire. And as you guys are going through these trainings, I hope you realize that I will never tell you that. I try to be very honest and I try to tell people that what I do is hard and it takes a lot of work, but it's totally worth it. I had a quote yesterday where I said, business is a personal development vehicle disguised as a money grab. You will learn more about yourself building companies, helping people, building a team than you ever will doing anything else. It's very difficult, but it's very rewarding. And I really believe that that's really the goal in life is to become the person you want to be. So doing hard things, you'll see who you really are. Easy things don't test you. Anyone can do easy things. Hard things is how you figure out who you really are. And that's where all the reward is. So that's the faucet system. And then the last one is usually an authority play. And we're going to do the fitness example as well. So if you're B2C, I'll do the fitness example second. So when I'm talking about elite CEOs, the third thing I say is, look, so now that you understand how to build your offer, how to get leads, now how do you know who to hire? Because there's a million coaching companies or a million consultants or a million business coaches that are telling you they're better. So how do you know who's actually better? They're usually thinking, well, that's a good point. I say there's 3 things. Experience. So who's done the most revenue, right? Elite CEOs has done 100 million. Have they done that, right? Specificity. You wouldn't hire Michael Jordan to teach you basketball or golf. You wouldn't hire Tiger Woods to teach you basketball, right? Even though they're great athletes, totally different areas of expertise, excuse me. And then the third thing would be level of attention. So if I could work with Bill Gates's team for 3 hours, I'd pick that over talking to Bill Gates for 5 minutes. It's not worth my time unless I had one question I wanted to ask, right? Unless I had one question. Otherwise, I would just work with this team. And so by doing that, I'm creating a bad guy. I'm creating the good guy who's me. And then I'm laying out their options. And I say, you can do whatever you want, but this is the proper path. If you go down this path, here's the thing that lay in your way. Whatever you're selling, that's how you have to sell it. If you don't do that and you just list, this is what most people will do. They'll just list. They'll say, hi, I am a trainer. I will give you a custom training plan, a nutrition program, and I'm really good. Pay me $3,000. And they go, no. And you're wondering why? Because the person who's charging $500 sounds the same as you. You can't charge more money if you don't sound different, if you don't create more value. Why did I buy a Lamborghini a couple of years ago? Because in my head, Lamborghini was a status symbol. It represented that I'd hit a benchmark in life that most people would never hit. Now, as I've gotten older, I've wised up and I don't really care about cars. If you do, great. But it was what it represented. It's not because it was just like every other car. I mean, it really was, right? Like it gets me in the same place. But the difference was the value. It was the good guy. It represented something different. So if you don't express why you're different, why they should pay you more, why would you expect them to? Most people don't know what bad looks like. Let me give you an example. If I had to go find the best nail polish for my girlfriend, I wouldn't possibly know what's good. So imagine I go to a nail polish store and every girl says, this is the best one. This is the best one. This is the best one. Well, it sounds good, but I don't actually know which one is the best. Now, imagine after 5 or 10 girls come up to me, the 11th one goes, hey, look, I don't care what you buy, but check this out. Here's what a bad nail polish has, and here's what good ones have. So as long as you get one that has this and not that, that's going to be one your girlfriend wants. That's exactly what I'm talking about as an example. It is not, you cannot just say what good looks like. You must lay out bad. You must pretend that the person you're talking to has an IQ of 1. You have to lay it out that simply. If you don't, you won't make very many sales in life. I promise you. People are not as smart as you think. They don't know as much as you know. So you have to pretend that you're talking to a toddler. Explain it that way. If you don't, you won't make sales. Okay, so let's go to fitness. So I was in the fitness industry. I never thought in my wildest dreams I could sell something for $3,000 in fitness. It blew my mind. I couldn't believe it when I made my first sale for $3,000. That was more than I made in a month. And I realized the reason I didn't understand that is every trainer says the same thing. I can almost guarantee you, if you go talk to 3 or 4 different trainers, here's what they're going to say. I'll give you a custom diet. I'll give you a custom training plan. And you have check-ins with me. Wow. That is revolutionary. Let me give you $3,000. They won't do that. They'll say, I'm good. Thanks. I'll go pay Joe down the street and he's $50. And nobody wins in that scenario. So what I had to do is I said, what do people actually want in fitness? They want to eat whatever they want and they don't want to train. Now, is it ethical to say you can eat whatever you want and not train and have a 6-pack? Absolutely not. But I do know that as long as you're in a caloric restriction, you follow the law of thermodynamics. If it fits your macros, right, you'll lose weight. So I told people, I will teach you how to eat whatever you want without sabotaging results. So I created curiosity and I was telling the truth. I wasn't lying. You can eat whatever you want as long as you stay within certain guidelines. That's true. Now, if you eat 12 Twix bars per day, you're not going to feel good, but you technically could lose weight as long as you're in a caloric deficit. So the second thing I would say is I'm going to teach you how to train however you want. The reason I said that is 90% of results in fitness is nutrition. For any of my fitness buffs on here, they can probably attest to that. So I knew as long as I picked a workout plan they could stick to, it was better if they worked out 1 day a week for the rest of their life than 6 days a week for 3 months. It's about longevity. It's about consistency. And then the final thing I did was I said, let me break down your options. Now that you know you need to learn how to eat and train the way you want, what's your options? So you could hire an in-person trainer, but the in-person trainer sucks because he doesn't want to do, he can't do nutrition legally, which is 90% of your results. And if you get results and you stop showing up, he doesn't get a paycheck. Now, guys, keep in mind, I have nothing against personal trainers. What I'm trying to point out is you have to create a bad guy. You can't do kumbaya, everybody's happy holding hands in sales. You have to make an enemy and then show why you're the good guy. So it's Joker and the Dark Knight. It's Godzilla and the Hulk. No, it's not the Hulk. Who's on the Godzilla? Anyways, oh no, it's King Kong, right? Yeah, there we go. I was way off on my movies. The goal is you got to make a bad guy and then you got to become the good guy. So I would say personal trainer is not good because they can't focus on nutrition. Isn't good because they give the same program to everyone and you can't stick with it because it's so rigorous. They just try to get you to lose 1 million pounds in 30 days for their testimonials and then you gain it all back. So the third option is to work with me, learn how to eat and train the way you want. And what's better is, yes, I'm more expensive, but once you learn, you'll never have to pay for a trainer again. So would you rather pay $3,000 once or $50 for the rest of your life? And once I got to the end of the sales call, it was butter. It was so easy to sell. Now, do you have to sell it the same way I am, especially if you're a fitness person on this call? No. But you have to make your pillars around what people care about. And that's what they actually care about. You have to try to give people what they want, and then you can actually give them what they need. It's not about lying. It's not about being deceptive. It's just understanding the human psyche and how people think. If they think that what you're telling them they've done before, they won't buy. If they think that what you're telling them won't work, they won't buy. If they think that you're too expensive because you sound like everyone else, they won't buy. The only reason I've bought 1 million Gucci purses is because girls love them. I don't love them at all, but they're valuable to them. And therefore, because they're valuable, they'll spend $3 or $4 grand on a purse that I feel, is worth $100 that they could get at JCPenney. It's a value proposition, right? And so when you're selling a high ticket service that other people sell, that's the most important point. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll come back to this stuff later. If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. I'll hit it at the end of the training. Now, after the 3 pillars, you do a brief overview. A brief overview means brief, 5 minutes or less. Most of you are selling features and benefits. Nobody gives a shit. What do I mean by that? If I can show you how to make $1 million, you don't care you're doing it as long as it's ethical. So let's assume there's no drug dealing, or, you're killing people, whatever. As long as it's ethical, most of you would not care, right? So if I said, hey, Tom, lick the floor 3 times a day with your tongue and you'll be a millionaire, you would do it. The reason you don't do it is you know that's not true. You know that's not going to work. So if I can convince you that the strategies I'm giving you is the right path, you'll do it. So when you're doing a brief overview, you just want to make sure that they understand what they're receiving. You don't need to go into crazy detail because they don't care. They just need to understand what they're buying. So for example, if I'm selling a car, I'd say, look, so, it has 5 seats, it's got 4 wheels, it has an engine, you put oil in it and gas. Cool. I don't need to go into every little feature and knob and bell and whistle. Nobody cares. They just care what the thing can do, not what the features are. The next part is then creating certainty. Before you drop the price, if you've done a perfect sales call, you've asked all the right questions, you've beaten all their objections before they ever come up. If you do not beat an objection earlier in the call, it will come up at the end. So if they say something like, I need to talk to my spouse before I make a decision 5 minutes into the call, you better beat it right there in the call, or they're just going to bring it up at the 45-minute mark when you tell them what the price is. It doesn't magically go away. That is a novice beginner mindset. You have to beat every objection to get them to buy. So before I drop the price, I want to create certainty. Certainty needs to be as close to 100%. Sometimes you can't get it there because the person, no matter what you say, will go, well, yeah, I'm an 8 out of 10, or I'm pretty sure. But you want to get as close to 100% certainty as humanly possible. Once we get 100% certainty, we are going to move into the close. Keep it simple. Say the price. It's just $20K for 4 months, or it's $16K for 4 months, or it's $10K for 4. It doesn't matter. Just tell them the price. You don't need to be fancy. You don't need to draw it out. Confidence is calm. It's collected. It's short. It's concise. When I talk, you probably get the gist that I feel that I know what I'm talking about. Now, you can argue that I don't, but you can feel my confidence. There's not filler words. I'm direct. I'm to the point. I have inflection in my voice. Like I know what I feel. I know what I'm talking about. That's how you want to sound when you close. Now, here's where the boys are separated from the men, or the ladies are separated from the girls. This is where you really earn your money. Once you ask for the money, you're going to typically get one of 4 objections. You will get no other objections. This is not door-to-door sales. The cool thing about high-ticket service-based businesses is you're only going to get 4. And these are the only 4 you have to learn. It's the same thing every time. The most common is price. So follow with me on this. Follow my mouse. The first thing I'm going to do is say, John, the price of the program is $10K for 4 months. John will usually say, you know what, Tanner, that's too expensive. John, I totally agree. Make sure you're following my mouse. If you're not looking at the screen, this is not going to make sense. Type in the chat if you can see my mouse moving. Do you guys see that? Just want to make sure that I'm not talking to a ghost. So you guys see my mouse? Let me look real quick. Yes, great. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, John, totally get it. Is there anything else besides the price that would stop you from moving forward? Keep in mind, you cannot close a sales call if they have multiple objections. You must isolate it. You have to make sure that there's nothing else. If there is, they will switch objections once you beat the first one. So if he goes, well, it's also my wife, I'd say, well, which is it? Is it the price or is it your wife? I'm not going to just try to beat an objection before I know that's the only objection he has. So let's assume he goes, yeah, it's just price. That's the first tie down. So I'm going to start back at the top so you guys can follow. John, the price of the program is $10K for 4 months. That's too much, Tanner. Totally get it, John. Is there anything besides the price that would stop you from moving forward today? No, it's just the price. That's the first tie down. Tie down means we've got a commitment. There's nothing else. I ask again. Okay, got it. So if we figure out the price, you're in. That's a double tie down. He says yes again. Now we got him right where we want him. This is the most important part of a price objection. If you do not find out cash on hand is defined as how much money they have available they can spend today. I don't care what they have in crypto. I don't care what's in their ledger. I don't care what's under the mattress. I want to know what they have right now in their bank account they can spend this second. That's what cash on hand means. So I go, cool, John. Well, look, I'm just here to help you because you are, and you should be. So for me to best serve you and help you, I need to know what's your cash on hand situation look like. Why do I need to know that? Because if someone says it's too expensive, that doesn't mean they can't afford it. That just means they don't want it usually. I don't know if they can afford it until I know how much cash they have. How can I possibly give someone advice if I don't know how much money they have? You can't. It drives me absolutely insane to see salespeople go, well, it's this much. And they go, oh, I can't afford it. It's like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And they just keep dropping the price, which builds and erodes trust. I mean, it just erodes trust all the way to zero because you sound desperate. Remember, people want to buy from confident people. People want to buy from people who don't need their money. Now, when you're broke, it's harder because you need it desperately. For me, now that I've done 100 million in sales, you guys could see me on a call. I literally don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't just say that. I actually don't care. Why? Because I don't need it. When I don't need it, people want to give it to me more. That's the funny part. So as you're doing this, remember, we're trying to help. We are not tied to the outcome. We don't care if they sign up or not. We're trying to genuinely help. I can't possibly help a friend make a financial decision without knowing how much money he has. That makes no sense. So don't be afraid to ask. So let's say in this scenario, John tells me he has $3,000. The price of the program is 10 grand. He has 3. Now, this is very important. I want you guys to listen very carefully. If you don't get anything out of this call today, please listen to this part. You need to know in your head what's the lowest amount you're willing to take. What does that mean? When you're the CEO, you can charge whatever the you want. Excuse my language. You can charge whatever you want. If you have ever heard of Black Friday, you know what I'm talking about. They will slash prices of TV, shoes, etc. They sell it for whatever they want, even though those same TVs were sold for 3 times more a few months earlier. Why is this important? Because you're going to talk to people who genuinely, no matter how good you are at sales, no matter what sales trainer tells you that they can sell everyone, they're full of shit. you're going to find people that they just can't afford it. They just can't. They got everything they have. They have all their credit cards on the table, all their cash. They can't afford it. So this price objection is for people who genuinely can't afford it. If someone says, well, Tanner, I got 20 grand, then that's a value issue. And I wouldn't talk about pricing more. Oh, so you can afford it. You just don't want to. What's the issue? And then I go to belief. We'll get to belief in a second. That's on the far right. But if you don't have a bottom number, you're not able to actually handle the price. So let's say the lowest amount we're willing to take is 3 grand, just for the sake of this example. So if they say above 3 grand or more, we're going to still try to close them. If they say below that, call's over. Got it. So just so I'm clear, you only have 2 grand. That's all you have, right? You have nothing else, no credit. Okay, so there's literally nothing else you can do. Okay, God bless you. Take care. Because if you're the CEO, you make the call. You're in charge. You can charge whatever you want, guys. There's nothing wrong with that. You're the boss. So let's say in this example, it's 3 grand. So here's what I would do. I'd say, got it. So John, just so I'm clear, we're back up here on cash on hand. Just so I'm clear, you've got $3,000. And is that checking savings? Is that stuff you need to spend on bills? What is it? No, that's what I have set aside for this. Okay. And after bills every month, how much do you have? Not much, Tanner. I mean, it took me 6 months to save up for this. Like, I don't have anything else. That's all I have. So now I know that either I can get John in for 3 grand or he can't get in. That's it. There's no matter how much more value I build, he can't get in. So now I make the decision, okay, I'm going to try to get him in. So here's what I do. Watch what I do. This is how you do an ethical discount. So you don't sound like a used car salesman. I go, well, John, look, let me tell you what. The price of the program for this example is usually 10K. But I don't think that's a realistic option for you. So I'm down to work out a customized payment solution. But before I do, I just want to make sure that you can move forward today. The reason you say that is it drives me insane to see people offer discounts, or a customized plan is probably a better word for it. And then the person says, well, yeah, that sounds good, but give me 3 weeks. It's like, no. You misunderstood me. I'm doing you a favor. I'm trying to help you. If you're not going to move forward today, then you don't get a discount. You can pay full price like everybody else. Not only does that sound more ethical, but it's the right thing to do. You are not obligated to do 100 zero deals. It's 50-50. If they can't meet you halfway, then you don't need to help them. That's not how success works anyways. If you guys aren't willing to meet me halfway, there's no way you're going to be successful anyways. So what's the point? What happens when they do this is now they commit. They go, okay, yeah, that sounds good. What do you got for me? And then I go, well, look, John, let me go back. Sorry. I don't think you should spend all of it, but you should do something. So here's what I think. And then I say, John, look, you got 3 grand. Let's do this. If you can put down 3 grand right now, that's what you said you have. I'll tell you what, as long as you come in, you work hard, and you don't go advertising this price to someone else, we'll call it a day. But those are my 2 conditions. Can you agree to that? And what you're going to do is 3 things. You're going to maximize cash flow, so you get something instead of nothing. You're going to build confidence. You're going to feel good about yourself that you helped someone. And he's going to get help instead of having to go back and pay someone else who probably isn't as qualified as you and doesn't care as much as you. Now, you do have to, at some point, have a limit on that threshold. Some business owners, they're like, it's 10K, they're paying 10K or they can't get in. Some people, I've seen them go as low as $200 a month, depending on the offer. It's your call. You're the boss. You make the rules. Okay? That's how you handle price objection. If you do it that way, you will make way more sales than everyone. You'll help way more people, and you'll feel good about it. Because I don't need, like, for example, guys, I want people to pay what I charge. But if they can't, then my option is either I don't help them or I can help them based on their situation. It's your call. There's no right or wrong answer. But I share this because most clients I work with or business owners want to maximize cash. Why? Because if you run ads, if you have staff, if you have kids, if you have insurance, every little bit helps. So turning away $3,000 because they can't pay 10 doesn't usually make sense for a lot of business owners. Hopefully that's clear. If it's not a price issue, meaning they have the amount of money, it's a value issue. And that goes back to belief. That's why at the bottom it says, go back to pain or belief. Because if you figure out a plan of action, they still say no. Now it's a belief issue or it's a value issue. Okay. So that's price. Next one is spouse. Spouse is less often. I would say the biggest ones is price, and then you're going to get a belief. Typically, those are the two most common, then spouse, then time / think about it. So here's how I handle spouse. John, the price of the program is 10K. You know what, Tanner? Up here, watch my mouse. You know what, Tanner? It sounds good. I just need to talk to my wife. Okay, John, well, I'll tell you what. What are you going to do if she says no? He's going to do one of two things. He's either going to say 20% of the time or less, he'll say, well, I just do it anyways. Haha, I've had guys say that. I go, great. Well, let's just sign up. Like, there's no point talking to your wife because you're going to sign up either way. So let's just do it. That happens rarely. What they usually say is, well, I go, John, what are you going to do if she says no? He goes, well, I wouldn't sign up. I go, got it. So I moved to B. A, B, C, guys. Just follow the letters. So what would their biggest objection be, John? And a lot of times they go, well, it would be price. So check this out. If they say price, just go back here and go, oh, got it. So it's not actually talking to your wife, John. If we're able to figure out price, you're able to move forward today, right? Yeah, great. It works like butter, guys. I'm telling you this. If you guys just learn this, I'm telling you, you'll close people. It works every time. I've done so much study with sales and psychology and marketing. This is the most simplistic way to do it. So assuming that we go through the price objection, we'll close them. Now, that happens 80% of the time. When you get a spouse objection, almost every time they go to B, they'll say, I won't do it. If my wife says no, you'll say, what's their biggest objection? They'll usually say price. I go to price, I close. That's usually what happens. Now, let's say I go back through price and they go, yeah, but I still got to talk to her. That's when I start ripping my hair out. That's why you guys see I have no hair on the side of my head. What I do is that was a joke. I go to C, past agreements. So I'll say, well, look, does your business partner or spouse know you're struggling with XYZ issue? Yeah. Do they approve of you struggling? No. Do they like you struggling? No. Okay. And if the roles were reversed, would you support them? Yeah. Then why wouldn't they support you? Because here's the thing. You're not asking for permission. You're only asking for support, because if you ask them and they say no and you don't do it, and 2 years later, you're still overweight or you're still poor, whatever the issue is, you're going to resent them. And that's when things are going to start to go downhill because you didn't own your goals. So you're going to go tell them that you're not doing this for them. You're doing it for you, and you're not going to complain about it. And you're going to commit to what you're doing. Sound good? If they still say no, so you're at your last ditch effort, you go to what's called a delayed payment. Now, you can use a delayed payment in any circumstance, but this is your last ditch scenario. This is after you've really worked the objection. The rule of thumb is work the objection 3 times. If they say no 3 times to the same objection, it's probably time to move on. If they're changing the objection, they're lying. Okay? If they switch objections, they're lying to you, I promise. Buyers are liars. They're usually lying to you. Now, if I go through this whole thing and he goes, Tanner, look, I get it, man. I really want to work with you in Elite COs. I really appreciate you. I know, you're trying to help me. I just I have to talk to my wife. Then I go, okay, cool. So John, I'm not trying to pressure you. Let me ask you this. You never want to pressure people into decisions. It's called push-pull. Okay. You can always push after you pull back. Let me give you an example. If someone's ever been rude to you, or maybe some of you on this call have had someone make a racist comment. You ever notice that sometimes people will say, not to be racist, but, and then they say something racist. Not to be rude, but, and then they say something rude. That's called push-pull. Human psychology, what will happen is when people do that, they'll hear the bad thing, but they won't take it as hard as if you didn't preface it. It's weird, I know, but you'll notice people do this all the time. So what I do is I say, well, look, John, look, I don't want to force you into it. I don't want to pressure you. And then I start pressuring, right? Again, when I say pressure, it's not pressuring them to sign up. It's pressuring them to make a yes or no. We want decisions. That's the point of a sales call. If they don't make a decision, you didn't do your job. There's very rare circumstances where them leaving without making a final decision is in your best interest. It's very rare. And that's usually at a very high sales level. Okay, guys like me. If you try to high pressure me on a call, it won't go well, but I'm at a very different level than the average consumer. So let's go to D. So John, I'll tell you what, are you 51% sure that you want to do this or 51% no? He's like, yeah, I'm probably 51% sure I want to do it. I'm like, cool. So if you wake up tomorrow and you feel the same way you feel now, you'd sign up? Yeah, dope. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to put down a deposit. And then if you go back to your wife and she says that she doesn't want you to fill in the blanks of what you're selling, be healthier or be wealthier or be happier or have a better marriage or whatever it is you're selling. If she says that, I'll just refund it and call it a day. Sound fair enough? And then what will happen is you get a refundable deposit. Usually it's 10% of the sale. So if it's 10,000, you get $1,000. You can go lower if necessary, but the higher the deposit, the higher the chance they come in. It's like anything. The more they pay, the more the commitment. So then if he does that, you're done. If he doesn't, what you do then is you schedule a follow-up time. You don't just say, okay, I'll follow up. You go, cool. So John, I'll tell you what, you seem like you really want to talk to your wife. When can you have a final decision by? 8 o'clock tomorrow. Cool. So we'll do this. I need a text from you by 8 o'clock tomorrow, or I'm going to remove you from the slot. Does that sound fair? Yes. And then what happens is at the very least, you leave on a good note, which is always important. You never want to leave a sales call on a bad note or someone pissed off. And you're going to get a response by 8 a.m. And if you don't, you know he's not coming in. So you don't waste months and weeks on end like most salespeople that think they're going to come back. They're not, guys. If you don't close on the call, 90-something% of the time, they're not coming back. If someone tells you that they will, they're lying to you. No top sales guys have tons of follow-ups. It's very rare, right? You got to close on the call, do or die. Gun to the head. You got to save your family. You got to get it done. That's how you need to have the mentality on these calls. That's spouse. Time. Time is the least brought up, and it's pretty weak objection to be frank. The way I handle it is I just say, look, do you know what deciding means? We're starting at the top. And they're like, no. It's like, well, it comes from the word Latin, just means to cut off. So are we cutting off the passive inaction or the future of your dreams? Because indecision is still a decision. So the question I have for you is these three things. If you know these three things, you're actually ready to make a decision. You ready? Yeah. Do you think you're more or less likely to hit your goal working with us? So for example, if I'm a trainer and I said, do you think you're more likely to lose weight with me or less? What do you think they're going to say, guys? More. Then I say, do you believe we're going to deliver to you what was promised? Yeah. Okay. Like, you think I'm telling the truth? Yeah. Okay. And then do you have access to funds? Yes. If they say yes to all three, which they usually do, I go, great. So based on that, you actually have all the information you need to move forward, because making a decision doesn't take time. It takes info. Guys, think about it. More time doesn't help people make decisions. It's information. That's what they need. So if someone has all the information, they don't need any more time. And then I ask them to go forward. If they don't, then I go to a delayed payment. Okay. You can use a delayed payment in any scenario. That's your last ditch effort. Don't use that because you're not good at sales. A lot of people, they will use that a lot, and it's because they're not good at sales. That is your last ditch effort if you've gone through the sales process. Last one is belief. So belief is actually, I think, it's pretty easy to beat, because typically if someone says, well, it sounds good, Tanner, but I'm not sure. I need to sleep on it. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's going to work. What they're telling you is they're scared shitless. That's what they're saying. Hey, you know what, Tanner, that's a lot of money. I don't know. I don't know you very well. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm scared. So if you think about it, the easiest way to beat that is just ask them straight up. Okay, cool. What is the worst thing you can possibly imagine happening with this? What do you think they're going to say? Well, that it's not going to work. Perfect. So let's walk through that. You got three options. One, you can sign up and get results and life's great. Two, you can do the thing and it doesn't work and you get your money back. Now, I want you to listen very carefully. You only do conditional guarantees with service-based offers. Why? Because if I say, hey, you can get your money back anytime, and it's a fitness offer and the client eats donuts every day, they will not get results. And that's not on you. That's on them. So what you would do is you would say, you can do it and it doesn't work, you get your money back. And then later when you send contracts, you would have stipulations and conditions. Conditions being you have to send me a picture of your food every day. You have to track your app every day. You have to have a call with me, whatever. You pick conditions that will force the action that will get them the results. So in elite CEOs, if I give you a conditional guarantee, the conditions are around X amount of calls, X amount of coaching conversations, X amount of messages, showing up to X amount of like events, filling out X amount of forms, whatever. Because I know if you do that, the chance that you're not successful is almost zero. The reason people aren't successful is they don't do the work. So I force them to do the work. That's the only time a conditional guarantee or a guarantee is good. If you do a full money back guarantee, that's not good for service-based businesses. That is a product-based business or a tech company. That's different because you're not spending money to fulfill. If in this business you're spending time, you have to be compensated for your time. I don't care how good or bad the service is. I don't go to a therapist and say, you know what, you suck, I want a refund. That's not how it works. They still get paid whether they're good or not. So as long as you keep everything consistent in your life where you treat people the same way you want to be treated, you don't need to feel bad. Even if you're the world's worst coach or consultant, you should still be paid for your time. I believe that because you still gave them. Now, the person on the other end, they'll feel mad, they'll be upset, but guess what? They'll learn from it. I've spent $3 million on coaching. I promise you, not all the coaching I've got has been good. It's okay. I learned from it. I moved on. It's a good lesson. The money doesn't matter. I can't take it with me anyways. I'm here to learn. I'm here to become the best person. That's the only thing I can take with me. Whether you believe in death and afterlife, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But like, you're only taking yourself. You can't take the things of this world with you. Okay? All right. So what I say is you sign up and get results, life's great. You do it and you get a refund. If you don't want to have a refund, cut that part out. So you would just say you sign up and get results, or you do nothing and stay stuck. So all of these options are risk-free. Follow my mouse. So are you going to pick the option that's going to give you the potential to get where you want to go? Or are you going to pick the option that guarantees you'll stay stuck? That's it. This down here is just it's a Sephora mindset where sometimes people are in their own way. And the point of this story is just to get people to understand that, hey, if you want to be in shape, you got to do what in shape people do. If you want to be rich, you got to do what rich people do. Can't keep thinking the way broke people do or the way overweight people do. Okay. Those are the 4 objections. Now, to take payments, what I'd recommend is if you're in the USA, I think it works in Canada too. I like Wave and PayPal. I don't like Stripe. Why? I don't like Stripe's dispute teams. What that means is if you get a chargeback, if someone says, hey, this person didn't service me, their dispute teams suck, meaning you're going to usually lose. When I use Wave or PayPal, it's usually a lot better, and I like their dispute teams. If you use a signed agreement, always use signed agreements. If you guys aren't sure how to do that, go to LegalZoom or just get a document. The agreements are really not for a court of law. Agreements are for chargebacks. If you go to court, I've been to court multiple times. Unfortunately, the agreements are about as good as the piece of toilet paper you use to go to the bathroom. They're not really good. They're pretty weak. So use PayPal or Wave. Just so you guys know, I'll show you what that looks like. So this is obviously PayPal. You guys know. PayPal's second, use Wave first. I'm not a huge fan of PayPal, but I like PayPal better than Stripe. And then Wave actually looks like this. So it's this little logo here. Okay. I'm not going to walk you guys through the whole thing on like how to take the payment per se, because it's pretty self-explanatory once you're in there, but that's how that works. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is we're now going to move to a live call review. So now that we've talked about sales, I actually want to play a live call that I closed. I think it was last year that you guys will get something out of it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to play this clip on 1.7 speed. If it's too fast, please type in the chat and I'll slow it down slightly. But the reason I speed it up, guys, is so that we can get through it faster. If we listen to it at 1 speed, it takes forever. It's going to take an hour and a half, and I want to try to get through as much material as we can. So I'm going to press play. On the left-hand side of the screen, I'm going to have the script. And as I'm talking, you're going to see me work through the script that we just went over. Okay? Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks, Chidester.
Doing all right, brother. What's up?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. What you been up to today?
Today, I had to go to a doctor's appointment, and then I had to go to my accountant's office. That's always fun. And I've just been my home office, just doing some estimates and talking with customers and doing things like that just around my home office right now. That's what I'm finishing up.
Cool deal, man. Well, I'm super excited to talk to you. Thanks for taking some time. I know a busy guy like you, there's a million things you could be doing, so I appreciate, spending a little time with me. I got your application. We talked a little bit, obviously. So what I want to do for this call, obviously, is, just figure out what your goal is, what you're struggling with.
Okay, here's the pre-frame right here. Intro pre-frame right here. Here we go.
Try. At the end, if you feel it's a fit, we'll move forward. If you don't, no harm, no foul. I generally just do my very best to give you the best advice I can. So why don't we just start at the top with, start telling me a little bit about what your goal is, and then I can work backwards from there.
Gotcha. Yeah. So we spoke.
Okay. So now we're in discovery. So that's all it is. Intro and pre-frame, pretty simplistic. And now we're moving into discovery. Now, this script is for my business offer. So you might have different questions than I do. Don't pay attention to that part. Pay attention to what I'm asking. Watch the questions I ask so I can understand the situation. That's what I want you to pick up on. Because he's a business owner or he wants to have a business, I need to understand the full scope so I can give him a solution like a doctor. Okay?
Over on Instagram, it was text that right now I own a landscaping company. So I know you said you only work, or not only, but most part work with online businesses. And what we talked about is possibly starting a course to do, like teach people how to start their own landscaping company and how to fulfill on, projects. So and that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are and how you can help me achieve that goal. Because that is my end goal. I kind of wanted to maybe get my, think I teach the game a little bit more with as far as like paid advertising. I really have never done any paid advertising or really anything online. I've done like organic content and did some stuff like on Facebook Marketplace, and I've got customers that way. But yeah, as far as like the customer fulfillment and like, the legal aspects of landscaping and, how to talk to customers and sell landscaping projects, I'm very confident I can do that. So, I mean, it'd be up to you guys to kind of help me, like, teaching people how to do it online.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, the big thing when it
Okay, it's a bit fast. Okay, let me slow it down.
You don't have to teach people how to quote unquote do it online, but you would be getting your customers online. So the perfect example of something that you're trying to do, a good friend of mine he ran a company called, and they help gym owners get more customers inside their gyms. So he had an online company teaching people. So I mean, the big thing wouldn't necessarily be, you don't have to teach people how to quote unquote do it online, but you would be getting your customers online. So the perfect example of something that you're trying to do, a good friend of mine, he ran a company called, and they help gym owners get more customers inside their gyms. So he had an online company teaching people, but all their customers were in-person gym owners. So that's kind of like the same way I would think of this is like you could teach people how to do landscaping in a local area, which makes sense, but you would get your customers all over the country, which is how you can scale. And that gives you infinitely more scale. So that's perfect.
Yeah, 100%.
In terms of your goal, why even do this? So if you have a landscaping company, it seems like you're doing pretty well. Why even bother doing something like this?
Well, I mean, I really would like to help this younger guy.
Okay, so just so you guys have context, this guy owns a landscaping business. He wants to start teaching other landscape companies how to grow their companies, and he wants to do it online, right? Because then he can, hey, wherever you live in the world, I have a landscaping business. It does a lot of money. Here's what I did. And so what I did is I gave him an analogy of so that he understood where he could go. So this is a complete beginner. Okay, this is a complete beginner.
From 20 to 30 years old that really feel kind of lost and aren't making the money that they really want to make. I want to help them, like I genuinely do, because I've been in the spot where I've been, dead broke and didn't know what to do or how to do it. And I just, I kind of bootstrapped it myself for the last 3 years and kind of just watched a lot of videos online, about sales and how to do landscaping, and kind of did it myself. And I want to like completely cut out that process for somebody that's been struggling or like hasn't even started, and kind of teach them the basics on how to get in the game and how to, do it. That's what I genuinely want to do. And I feel like I could help a lot of people doing that for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have I love the fact, obviously, you're trying to help people. I mean, that's definitely the first step. Do you have like any monetary or financial goal with it? Or you're just like, I don't really care as long as it makes me more than zero?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, because it is a digital product and like that you worked on it one time, that's kind of what I really, really was drawn into as far as like, like a system as a service or, courses, is that you work on something one time and you can sell it to a million different people, a million different ways, So like, it's not like a service where, you do a $10,000 landscaping job and then you have to put in, the labor, material, and all your T's and I's and make sure everything goes to plan every single time. So, I mean, that's where, I was definitely drawn into more doing online, because I think you can fulfill it a lot easier, and you can kind of go through multiple variables, and you know what's going to happen with, your clients more often than not than just doing it in person. And it's just easier scalable. So don't get me wrong, I absolutely am in it to make, more money than I am currently. But yeah, I mean, that's the main reason why. My monetary goals, ideally, I think I could probably sell this for something around $20,000 to $25,000 like a year, and hopefully have like a recurring thing, because I know I can teach people how to make $100,000 the first year on landscaping, in profit, not gross and net profit.
For sure. And did you say your goal is 20 to 25K?
So, something I want to point out too is, as we're going through the call, when someone's a beginner, it's more about building certainty that this is what they want to do and that they need to do it now, because they've already proven that they've never done this in the past. So it's more likely that they do nothing than that they move forward. Okay. So this call, it's not going to be as much about strategy. It's going to be more about the experienced business owners. For a beginner, I focus a lot more on, you want to do it, you're ready to do it. There's no reason you wouldn't move forward today. Like, I want to create a lot of certainty for him to take action, because if he's already on this call, he probably already believes in what me and my company do. Okay.
Here? No. I said a person per person.
Per person. Okay. Love it. Okay. Yeah.
No, yeah, I'd love to take this to an 8-figure company personally.
Okay. Awesome. Well, you definitely would be unique, because there's not going to be a ton of competition. So that's going to be a huge advantage, because half the game is just having an offer that is more blue ocean, less competition. So, there's just like guys like I would say like, I wouldn't say there's guys like me in terms of results or like to have made as much revenue and stuff, but there's definitely going to be more competition, right? There's going to be a lot more guys saying, you know, I can help you grow your company than like say helping you with landscape. So I like the fact that that's what you want to sell. Okay, so you want to get, you have huge ambition, want to get 8 figures. What does your time look like in terms of like how much time you can put into something like this?
I mean, I could put every single free moment that I have into this. I'm trying to get to the point now where my business is almost automated. Like I have a crew that pretty much does all the landscape and installations for me, and I just handle the kind of sales and estimating, which I'm going to try to delegate that in the next 6 months to where, like I said, I'm just overseeing it and making sure that, you know, those guys are doing their jobs and, you know, I have overseers. But I mean, ideally, if this was something that made sense, like if I could get this off the ground, you know, start making money, I would honestly get out of the landscaping business entirely. Like I said, just teach people how to do it online.
Okay. Yeah. You remind me a lot of my friends. Like I said, I mean, he did gyms, but he had 6 gyms, making pretty decent coin, but really was a master of it. And then he stepped out and started doing something called, and they sold it. They sold like 60-something% of it for like 46 million last year.
So you're actually friends with that. You're actually friends.
Yeah. We're friends. So I'm assuming you've heard of him, yeah?
Yeah, that's actually, believe it or not, man, like I read first and just probably, I probably consumed, I don't know how much about content, man. And he's good. Go-to guy, man. I absolutely, like, he's my like business, like, you know, like mentor, you know, obviously like that person, but that's the guy that I look like. I take his advice as like a word of God.
Yeah, he knows his stuff, man. He works really hard. He's really dedicated, ambitious, and like a lot of his success, you know, like it really came from like having that really fire offer because like there's no one really doing it, and he was able to get such good results that it kind of spread. So especially for this, like if you go out there, you go to landscapers, there's not a bunch doing it, you find them, and then you get them great results, like it can spread like wildfire, you know, and then that obviously helps you make more sales, less marketing expenses. That's cool. 100%. Okay, so you can put all your free time into this. That's good. Obviously keep in mind, like, you know, at the beginning, it's going to be more time and it gets easier as you make more because then you can hire, but just, you know, you're basically starting brand to do this. So how,
you're kind of breaking in and out there. Can you repeat the last thing you said?
Yeah, I was saying, you know, some people do business, but they have unrealistic expectations of the time. You know, they're like, so just making sure you understand that if you're going to start something up, it gets easier as you scale because you can hire out help. But in the beginning, you're going to be doing all the grunt work yourself. So it's, you know, it's going to feel like a big load. I'm just making sure you're right.
Absolutely, man. I mean, as a small business owner, especially with landscape like this year, I was doing, and I still do, you know, that's like that. I have a small team. It's only me and, you know, a few other guys. Like that, they just do the fulfillment. But as far as like, you know, all the customer relations, all the sales, all the estimates, all the, you know, putting the job together, insurance. I mean, you name it, I pretty much do it. You know, but I know it takes a lot to get it started. And then like you said, once it gets going, it gets a little bit easier, and then like it'll get easier and easier, and then it gets to the point where, you know, you can really get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What do you think you're struggling with the most, or what would you say you would need the most help with?
As far as, well, I think the biggest thing that I really, or not, you know, struggling with, that I would have trouble with just selling on is I get all my customers through word of mouth. So, you know, I just don't do really, like I have like a Google business listing. I've had really good success with that, even this year, just being the first year started, but kind of just knowing how to get customers offline. You know what I mean? Like getting people off Facebook leads, off of Instagram, off of Google ads, you know, getting people, if I can get the landscapers those first few wins, you know, and get them a customer immediately, I think that I'd be a lot more, and if I had that skill base and had that skill, the knowledge and how to do that, I'd be a lot more ready to say, hey, I'm ready to just stop landscaping altogether and do this immediately. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Love it, dude. Yeah. And I'm assuming obviously you feel confident though, not in terms of you getting leads for this new business, but if you sign up some landscapers, you feel very confident in like teaching them what to do and getting them results, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Being able to, I mean, cause I constantly, it happens very frequently, and I've kind of, you know, jotted or kind of like wrote down the details on how I do it, but I'm priced, I would say 90, I'm probably 10, top 5% as far as like.
Okay. So he's just going through, but basically he's a beginner. So there's not going to be a whole lot that I need to figure out in terms of where his business is at. It's just building certainty, understanding what his goals are, what he's struggling with. Has he had a coach? It's going to be more of the beginners, right? So I have a beginners. I have a both for my sales guys. I mark stuff in orange. That's really important. And then down here is more experience. So this is you're going to see more of the questions up here because there's not much for me to ascertain or figure out because this business doesn't exist yet. It's just an idea.
The more expensive side of landscaping, and I still get more jobs than most of the people that I bid against, just because of how I know how offers work, you know, and how to make people feel like they're going off of value and not price-driven decisions. You know, I'm very good at talking people into, or not talking, but, you know, seeing people or making people make those type of value-based decisions and not price-based decisions. I think that's been my strong point this year. And yeah.
Awesome. No, I love it. Have you ever had a coach before, or have you ever taken a course? I mean, I know you mentioned you read his book. That's great. His books are really good. He breaks it down super simple, but have you ever been in like coaching program or course or like had any type of one-to-one mentorship at all?
I have not, no.
Okay. What makes you kind of, why are you kind of looking for it now? Obviously, I know you need help with certain things, but is there any reason like why now you're finally looking if you've never done it before?
Well, I know I'm at a point where like I know like where I'm like deficient at with my skills, and I know other people have the knowledge that I need, and pretty much you're going to pay with it. You're going to pay to get where you want with either time or money, and I'd rather pay my money right now to get the knowledge I need, so I don't have to pay with my time.
I love it, man. You're cut from the same cloth as me. So I've spent millions, honestly, not exaggerating, on coaching and courses at this point because I just feel like it's a fast way for me to get there. So kudos to you. You haven't ran ads before, you said that, and then what is your experience in sales? Obviously, I know you've sold in your landscaping, but is that over the phone? Is it in person? Like, what type of sales are you doing?
In person. So what I'll do is I usually get a consultation with my customer, and I'll kind of get a breakdown of what they're looking for. And then I'll get them back with an estimate, and then I schedule a sales call once I have all the numbers put together. And pretty much off of that, I close them off of that phone call there. Or sometimes they need some time to think about it, and then, they'll end up reaching back out a couple days later. But that's kind of how the sales process goes.
Okay. Awesome, man. Word of mouth, just writing down here just a couple things so I can bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, like, you don't have any like business partners or anything like that? You're just a lone wolf on this, yeah?
Well, yeah, because I was actually in business with my older brother for the last 2 years, and it didn't work out. And yeah, long story short, I wouldn't do business with my family ever again. It's not a good time.
Yeah. I was in business. My brothers were with me for about 5 years, and that literally, I'm talking, ended like just recently. So it's totally understanding. It worked great for a long time. It's just, it's the hard part is sometimes you come down on people, and because they're family, they don't take it as well, or maybe they take it too personally, and then it's a fine line you're walking for sure. Definitely a fine line.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been there, man. So okay, cool. So what I want to do next is I think I got pretty much everything.
Okay, so now I'm in number 3, the summary. Okay, and then we're gonna go into the pitch, which is the 3 pillars. So all I'm trying to get you guys to see is the structure I showed you. I want you guys to hear how it sounds. You don't need to worry about how much you're learning, etc. You're going to get these videos. You're going to get the scripts. You're going to get all that. Just for now, just stick with watching how this happens. Okay.
Thing I need in terms of like information. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to walk you through what I call the 3 pillars. And this will kind of get you to understand what we do differently than everybody else and what we can kind of bring to the table. So the first one's going to be what we call offer creation. Now,
I want you guys to listen and see how I'll say what most people do, what we do, and I give examples. Okay. I want you to listen for that.
Most programs out there, or if you look around the internet, typically what they're going to be doing is teaching you how to sell low price stuff. The issue with low price stuff, it's not that it's cheap really. The issue is that it's hard to scale. And the reason for that is there's really 2 ways you can do it. It's either A, you have a big name. So, LeBron James, Kim Kardashian, whatever, and you can just clip your toenails, put it in a bag and sell it, right?
Yeah.
Or B, you got to scale with paid traffic. But the issue with paid traffic is it gets very expensive. So, a lot of times people are like, hey, I'm going to sell something for $500, but the amount of effort and time you have to put into it is so high. And then what you make back usually isn't as good. So we'll get more into the traffic in a second. But what we want to do, and you've mentioned it already, and I think you alluded to it, and you probably got it from this book, is you want to create your offer in a way that ensures it's not a commodity. So you're selling it at a high price point. You're not trying to, compete with everyone. And so the first thing we're going to do is bring you in and kind of craft and help you package and create your selling point so that when you go to the market, it will sell, because it's not a concern of mine, but something for you to think about is everything you've done so far, you said is referrals, and that's great, but we all know those are the easiest sales to make. So when you go to cold traffic with this offer, we got to make sure that it is tight and it's concise and it makes sense to a total stranger, because if your goal is to, get this, 8 figures, then we really have to make sure that it resonates with someone very quickly and they understand why they should pay you a lot more than the next guy. Because that's if you ever get on the phone and they're like, well, it's too much, and this guy says he can do the same thing for cheaper, you're never going to win those battles. And so the only way to win is it's got to be how you present and package the offer. So that's the very first thing we're going to help you with. And we want to make sure we can sell it at, if you said 15, 20, 25K, like, hell yeah, the more you can sell for, the better. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. So the next thing, number 2, is what we call the faucet system. So again, what most people will do, or most programs, is they bring you in and they're going to start telling you to post a bunch of organic content. And it's not that that can't work, but again, if you have, 3,000 followers and then you post every day for a year and now you have 3,500 followers, like, that's not going to really grow your business. And that's what a lot of people think they have to do to grow. So what we're going to do, and you said you hadn't learned this yet, but we're going to teach you how to build in this faucet system. And it's kind of like I call it a faucet system because it's like that consistent drip. And so this is going to be a back-end system of email, text, voicemail drops, ads, retargeting ads, you name it, DMs. We're going to do it. And so, they say that the average person buys with 7 touch points. You're going to find with online marketing and business, you can hit them everywhere. Like, you can hit them everywhere. So the 7 number is a real thing. It's just you can do it a lot faster online. So we're going to help you set up that faucet system so that once you get your first couple customers, we can dump it into that, and then you can scale to the moon, because most of the guys at the top in this industry, they're running some sort of paid traffic. And then, later down the road, they might have like a cold outreach or something, but predominantly you're going to really scale quickly with paid traffic. And if you're spending 25K, you're going to customer for 25 grand, let me break it down for you. So let's say you spend $1,000 on ads, and I'm going to be really conservative. So let's say it costs you $20 a lead, which is not like great. It's like, okay, it's not great. So you're going to get about 50 leads for that $1,000. Now, out of those 50 leads, let's say you get 5 people who commit to a sales call. And then out of those sales calls, let's say you suck at sales. So you only close 1 out of 5, which is less than average, 30%.
Okay. So I'm moving into the second pillar. All right. Second pillar.
is the average in online. And so if you're selling at 25K, let's just go more conservative. Let's say you sell at 10K. So if you spend $1,000 and you can get one deal at 10K, you make $9,000 profit, and then you just start dumping, and then all you have to do is that's how you scale. So my company went 0 to 8 figures in 22 months just from that. Like obviously it's more intricate than that, but if you just look at the math, that's all the math is. It was just spend 1,000, get X amount of leads, X amount of calls, close a few, repeat, and you just dump until you get to the number you desire. And we have to repeat that process. So the second thing we want to make sure we teach you is basically how to go fish and how to create traffic without just, like post on social media, make good content. Like that is not a strategy, and that's just a fast way to go broke, in my opinion. Because the chances you go viral or just organically grow, it's very slim to none. And so even when I was
and then just notice, all I'm saying, here's what most people do, here's what I do, here's why this is right. That's all I'm doing, guys. Like this is a super simple system. It works. Like every client we work with set something similar. Okay.
My business at its peak, I wasn't even posting on social media. I did have some posts up, but once I had kind of enough posts up so I looked real, I didn't post for over a year, and I just grew like a week because I was just, it's a numbers game, right? It's just all numbers and metrics.
Right. Yeah. It's like if you put in, like you said, like $1,000, you get 50 leads, and then like, you close even one out of those 50. Like if you put $100,000 in leads and you just 10X, and then you just made, 100,000. Yeah. I get it. That makes sense.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. And then the last thing then is what we call process. So, you mentioned earlier you never had a coach before. And so the good news about that is you're not dated. Like it's kind of like when you had your first girlfriend, like you thought all girls were just like, amazing and angels. And then, you have a few breakups and you're like, oh, okay, maybe not every girl is like as nice as I think. So that's the good part. The down part is you don't really know what to expect. And so a lot of times when I have a discussion with a guy like you who's had some success, but he's transitioning online, I like to break down like how I decide. So to date, I've spent $3 million on coaching for myself. I don't say that to brag. I just say that to let you know, like I've invested heavily. And there's really just 3 things I look at to make a decision because, hopefully you trust me. Like, you can see on the call, you're like, hey, Tanner sounds like a good guy. But at the same time, when someone's been in sales and they've been in business, they'll be skeptical or they'll be like, hey, this guy's saying the same thing every other guy says. And so I try to use as much logic and statistics as possible. So there's 3 things I look at. The first is experience. So something for my company is we've been in business for 6 years now. I've had a staff the size of 100. We've had 40,000 clients. And we've done $70 million in sales. And so again, that's not to brag or so you think I'm amazing, but I say that because if you look at another company and say they've done 20 million or 2 million or whatever, they have 5 team members. It's not me talking. It's just, okay, if they're going to teach you how to make money and they haven't gotten to the level you want to, why would you hire them? And that's like one of the first things I look at, right? Same reason I'm really good friends. I'll consult on stuff first is like, I want to talk to the people who are where I want to be. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Second thing is specificity. Okay.
So now we're in the third pillar, right? So now I'm saying, hey, so now that these 2 strategies are the way you need to go, how do you decide who to buy from? That's what I'm going through. Okay.
In terms of this, like, let's say hypothetically, I'll give you a couple examples. Let's say you could go out and find someone who only teaches guys who do landscape what to do. I would probably be like, yeah, he has an edge over for sure. Cause like I help people create online businesses. But if you were like, hey, this guy, Tom, only helps people like me build a landscape online, then I'd be like, yeah, you should give him the edge. I don't think he's out there personally, but if you find him, like, go for it. I think that might be the right move. What I just tell people here is you want to get as close to that as possible. So I'm not going to hire I'm not going to hire Michael Jordan to teach me golf, and I'm sure he's not going to hire Tiger Woods to teach me basketball. Not because they're not amazing at sports. It's just that's not their sport. And so I want to make sure you don't get caught up in the hype of going, oh, this guy's been super successful in business. It doesn't mean he can't help you. It's just if you're a betting man and you got someone who's done exactly what you want to do, take them. For me, we've built online companies and we've got 40,000 clients and we've seen every industry. So I don't only work with landscape, but unless you find that guy, then you're probably wanting to work with someone who's built online companies. Okay, that's what you're trying to do. Right. And then the third thing is attention. Okay, so again, you're not dated, which is good. But a lot of these programs, what they do is you come in and you get an online course, which is like a portal, right? You go in video 1, video 2, video 3. You'll get a Facebook group, and then they'll do group calls. That to me is not enough because you're going to have very specific questions because you've never done this before. It's like me trying to build your business, and you're like, all right, Tanner, so just show up to the group call, and there's 13 people there, and just ask your questions there. It's like, dude, I've got so many intricate questions and so much, what about this, what about that it just won't apply as well in a group setting. And so what we do is we make sure you actually have one-to-one support where you have a dedicated one-to-one coach who you get unlimited messaging with, and then you also have Zoom calls as needed because I just believe in it so much. It costs us a lot more money to do, but I just believe in it so much that I just will never, coach someone unless they let us do one-to-one because it just doesn't do well. It just never does well. Businesses will do group because it scales easier, but it's not what's best for the client. So those are kind of the 3 things to look at. So just to recap, and I'll let you ask a couple questions, is offer creation. So how we're going to package and market your offer so we can get the highest price possible so you can actually hit 8 figures. We do not want to do the commodity game. That's just not going to work. Number 2 is the faucet system. So getting you that consistent drip of leads from email, text, voicemail, DMs, retargeting ads, et cetera, just teaching you that whole system and how to get it to work as efficiently as possible. And then the third one is process, which is just ultimately whether you decide to work with us today or not. That's like the 3 things I look at because when all the dust settles and all the words and like all the bullshit is pushed to the side, it's like what's left. And that's really all you can go off of if you're looking at someone's business because everything else, it's like you just don't know. And I you know, I've been around the corner enough to know, like, at the end of the day, you might think that someone is truthful, or you might think that's the right fit, but you just don't know. So those are the three pillars and what we focus on and kind of how we're different from other people. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I mean, everything you're saying, man, makes sense. You know, your credentials speak for themselves, obviously. Like you said, you made a really good point. Like you've already been there and done that. And I wouldn't really reach out to somebody or even hop on a call if I didn't think I'd get some value, even off just a call alone. And you definitely have said, you know, a lot of things that make a lot of sense and have already given me value off a phone call alone. So, I mean, that definitely is, really good. I do have one question though. So let's say like if I wanted to just like get the skill of getting paid ads for like my own landscaping company now and kind of do that. Do you guys offer that as well?
Like running it for you or just teaching you how to do it?
Teaching, like you said yourself, like the faucet system, like just teaching, like, you know,
yeah,
not just
I mean,
that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be like, I guess the answer is yes and no. So yes, we could, but it's pretty much, that's such a heavy part of our program. It's like 80% of it that I just tell you the same thing I probably tell you right now, to be honest with you. Cause like that is basically the key, because no one really struggles. I mean, some people will struggle a little with the offer. Maybe they like don't know why they can't sell it. And I look at how they're pitching. I'm like, that is god awful. But the biggest thing is, even if it's really good, you got to get people to find out about it. And that is probably, I'd say, 80% of the problems with most of the people I talk to is like, it's just leads. It's like, hey, how do I get these? How do I get these? How do I get these? In fact, you know, this new book came out with, and like we were joking because he's like, oh, this book's gonna be way easier to sell because that's mostly what everyone wants, because they're always complaining about leads. So yeah, we could, but it's pretty much the same thing I'm going to be pitching to you. So as long as like it sounds like it's a fit and you want to do it, I'd probably recommend that, because we don't really have just, it wouldn't make sense. Like if we only showed you that, we didn't have the other stuff. I don't even think it makes sense. You probably get confused, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I totally understand. The only reason I was asking is kind of just to see if I could do the framework to like my company that I have now and just apply that and see if I can get the leads that I'm really, really looking for. So I'm looking to, with like my, I'm trying to be like a specialist and just do only high-end clients and have 1 to 2 high-end clients a month. And I know that that's something that I just don't know. I don't know how to reach out to those people and get to those sorts of people. Like I know how to get into, you know, really good neighborhoods. And I know how to make the customer experience so good that I get the word of mouth off the really good neighborhoods. And that's how I've been able to, you know, go from, I had literally like almost at the beginning of this year, almost nothing to now I'm going to net over, you know, almost $200,000 with me and 2 other people, you know, so I know that. And I'd like, you know, thank you, man. I'd like to get to the point where I can, you know, get to those people that I really want to get, that I really want, that are like, you know, $50,000 to $100,000 projects that I don't have to put as much time and effort into, as far as like getting the leads and grinding out and putting time and effort into estimates. And I just, you know, sell, you know, like I said, like 1 to 2 people a month compared to doing 20 to 30 people a month. I think that's the more successful way to do it.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing is like this will translate over to your other business. So if you learn how to do this, in fact, a lot of times for local businesses, it's even easier because you don't have as much competition. So, and what I mean by that is if you're running ads across the U.S., there's still more competition than if you're running ads in like, you know, Houston, Texas, or like a 15-mile radius. So it definitely translates over. And some of our favorite clients to work with are local businesses, because it's so easy to win with paid ads because there's just not a lot of competition. That's half the battle. Like part of what you sell. That's why I love your offer too, because it's so unique. Like there's just, I mean, I've had thousands of calls, and I think I've maybe talked to one other guy who's done landscaping. I mean, that's it. I mean, you know what I mean? But I've talked to like 20,000 trainers and stuff.
Right.
Okay, guys, you're asking questions about, we need to know what the competition's doing. It's pretty obvious what competition is usually doing, in my opinion. Like trainers are always like, hey, I'll give you a nutrition program and a training program and accountability. It's like, great, everyone does that. If I'm a business coach, most business coaches, there's only so many different strategies that there can be. And so what I want to do is figure out the most common taught strategy that doesn't work or that's trash, and then say I do the opposite. So it doesn't, you don't have to do tons of research. Like even when people come to work with us, I say, look, man, I mean, every sales rep you talk to is going to say they're the best. I mean, to be frank, taking sales calls, I think is kind of pointless, because at the end of the day, it comes down to who has the most experience, who has worked in your specific field, and who's going to give you the most attention. You could talk to a sales guy who's amazing, but the product sucks, or vice versa. You could talk to a terrible salesman, but it's a great product. So when you're trying to compare and contrast, it should be pretty, like, you should know most of these things before you're selling it. If you're selling it and you don't know what the competition does or what's normal in the marketplace, you might want to learn that first, right? I've done this a while and I've seen a lot of the technique. So yeah, obviously part of it was I got experience first, but a lot of times if you're around it enough, you'll see what most people recommend, and you'll see what's most common and what's usually incorrect and what is correct. And then that's how you start forming these. So even in fitness, it doesn't take a genius to go, hey, what do most trainers promise? Yeah, custom nutrition, custom diet. And then they wonder why they can't sell a 3-gram program, because you sound like everyone else. The goal is, how can I make myself sound different and then deliver on those results? Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. play.
Like, that's like, the biggest thing is like, that's why I kind of resonated before I even knew about, and like saw content. I told myself that's exactly what I wanted to do. And then when I saw that he actually did it, with the gyms and, taught people how to do it and made it, to the gigantic company that it is. Like, I was like, that resonated so much. And that's what I think I can do with with the company online. Teach, like I said, young guys from 20 to 30 years old there. So they only make in Florida, like I said, I think I DM'd you about it, but it was like, they own the median income here for landscapers is less than $35,000 per year income.
Yeah, man.
So, I think giving them a good offer, showing them how to make 100 would like be a no brainer.
Yeah, and it's also the advantage you have. You may not know this as well because you haven't done both, but what I can tell you is that, ironically, like selling in, well, I mean, you know this, but like landscaping, if you can show them how to get those customers, selling in person is a lot easier typically. And so that was another secret to success is gym owners in person can close at like 90%. Over the phone, they only close at like 30%. So if you can show them a pretty foolproof way of like, here's what you say, here's how you do it.
Stat to know is that in-person closing is infinitely easier than online or over the phone. So if you have a service where you're helping brick and mortar companies, it usually is a lot higher success rates because in-person closing is much higher because there's more trust. So 30% is the online standard in the industry. In person, it could be 90%.
Do it, et cetera, and they make money, they'll keep paying you. And that was kind of how I did it. Is he would go to a gym owner's going to break even, and he's like, look, I'm going to show you how to make 30 grand in 30 days. And it was just so simple because they were driving them to the gym and they did it a certain way that they'd all make money and be happy to pay him whatever he asked for. I mean, that was just part of his success. So, yeah, dude, I mean, I love your offer. I think like it's very unique and you would be kind of like all by yourself out there, which is part of the game. Like you want to pick unique offers. So I like that. Next thing, and then we'll go into like the pricing, packaging stuff. But the next thing is just again, real briefly, just you understand the program. So when you come in, you get the curriculum, which is like a portal. So just things like,
okay, so check it out. So you see, now we've gone through this. He had a lot of questions. So sometimes that happens. But I want you guys to notice too, the call is flowing. It has a flow. It has a structure. I'm not sitting here reading word for word. Hi, we built a multi-million-dollar fitness company, and like that's not the goal of the script. The script is a table of contents. It's a flow. It's a structure. It's straight line selling. If you ever learn from Jordan Belfort, he goes down a line. You keep the call on the line at all times. If it comes off the line, the call is not moving forward. So you guys can see I'm moving the call closer to the close. Everything we covered, I'm going right through. This is what I wanted you guys to see. I wanted you guys to see I'm not just telling you stuff. This is what we use. This is how I train my teams. Okay, so now we're in the program overview. It's going to be very brief. Then I'm going to get certainty, and I'm going to go for the kill. Okay, you're going to see me fight this guy, but you're going to watch. You're like, I'm telling you, I'm going to crush this call. You guys will see me fight at the end, but right now I'm still following the script through. Okay, I'm not doing anything that wasn't in the training.
Like videos 0 to 100, step 1, step 2, step 3, like you're going through that. And then in conjunction, you have unlimited messaging with your one-to-one coach and Zoom calls if needed. Okay. On top of that, you're going to have daily expert calls and office hours. So office hours is like a Q&A where you can hop on and just like, hey, what about this? What about this? Like as many questions as you want. The office hours is what the expert calls is more specific things. So like we have a call where it's only Facebook ads. We have calls where it's only sales calls. We have calls where it's only messaging. We have calls where it's only social or mindset. Like it's just more specific. And then we have the coaches or staff that really hyper focus and are experts in that field. They're teaching those. Like I even do sales training still. So, like I don't know how much money I've closed, but I'll do like the sales training, like I do calls and stuff like that. So, that is the program. Do you have like any questions particularly about like how the program works or anything that's in it or anything like that?
You said, just kind of recap. So like there's like a step 1 through 3 with the portal and that kind of breaks down. Is that like the 3 steps, like off the 3 pillars that you talked about? Like
oh, no, sorry. I was kind of like, I guess I was exaggerating. So I said like step 0 to 100. There's like, I want to say there's about 100 videos in there. You don't have to watch all of them. Some of them we don't even let you look at until you've completed certain steps, like it's kind of drip feeded. But the videos will be anywhere between like 1 minute all the way up to I'd say like 15 max. You watch them on 2x speed. But yeah, like it's almost like if I was going to start being a landscaper, it'd be how you would teach me. So it's like, all right, Tanner, step 1 is like do this. And like you're like second video. And then as you're watching, if you get stuck, you reach out to your coach to either ask via messenger or you get on Zoom calls to clarify because that's going to be the same way we're going to teach you. Is like what you don't want to do is be getting on calls for every single thing for every single client.
Yeah.
Right. Does that answer that question?
Also, I want you guys to see how you can coach clients through. So I said, hey, and just so you know, like the coach is there. You can get on as many calls as you want, but you actually don't want that because the more calls you get on, the less action you're taking to get results. So like the funny part is I can literally coach a client through to not ask for a bunch of help, to not ask for a bunch of calls, because that is true, right? If he's on a bunch of coaching calls, like even you guys being here, I'm glad you're here. But if you're just on this all the time consuming content and you don't actually go out and do any work, you're not going to get any results. So it doesn't matter, right? So you can even coach clients to think the way that you want them to think to make it easier on the fulfillment team. A lot of cool stuff you could do. Sorry.
Yeah, that definitely answered it. So you said there's like 100 plus videos on just random thing, on everything. And you said there's one-on-one support. Do I give pretty much like somebody assigned to me, and I can pretty much get like talk to them, at certain times, like I gotta like schedule a sales or not sales call, but a consultation with them.
Correct. Yeah. So like what I usually recommend is like on quick stuff or little things, you do Messenger, and then on big stuff where if you need like more context or like let's say it's like a specific sales question, like you're like, hey, I did this on this call and this guy didn't close, like what can I do different? Or some of the big stuff you get on the Zoom calls. But yeah, like the coach's job is literally full time just to serve you. So I just tell people like, abuse them as much as you want, but just be nice. Like they're there to help you. And so if you need help or you have questions, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for us to help you. So it's like get your money worth. Like get help.
I understand. How many coaches do you have on the one-on-one side?
Shoot, dude, we have a bunch. I want to say like 8 to 10, depending on the expertise and stuff. So we kind of have what we consider like our main coaches who are going to be like the direct one-to-one. And then if you have specific questions on like, let's say sales or ads or whatever, we'll have our expert coaches to step in as well. Cause like not everyone is good at everything. Like even if they think they're like, I think I'm a pretty well-rounded guy. At the end of the day, like my jam is like my favorite stuff is like sales and marketing. Like I love that stuff. I love to traffic, we spent like $20 million on ads. So like when someone asks me an ad question, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like I can tell you, trust me, I've tested it, I've tried it, So I think like 8 to 10. So I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer. It's just big team.
No, I was just curious. And then when you say like when there's like individual like calls about like you said like there's like sales calls, Facebook ads, messaging, DMs, emails, like are there like pretty much like white label scripts that you have that you can pretty much tie in like that I can take and give to like my clients when I make this program?
Dude, so this call's going a little longer because he has a lot of questions, which is more normal for a beginner. But just notice, like we're still here. We're still right here in the script. It hasn't moved, right? So if we're on the straight line, we're just pulsating right here. So the call will not get closer to the close until we move to the next step. That's okay. But I just want you guys to notice I'm still at number 5. We have not moved. Okay.
That's a great question.
And all this stuff he's asking, I have to answer to create certainty, right? I need maximum certainty before the price drop.
Totally forgot to bring that in. So yeah, we actually have like anything you can think of, for example, so like agreements, sales scripts, messaging scripts, email campaigns, funnels, texting, whatever. In terms of you, we obviously will have like a baseline. So like, it's like, hey, here's your baseline, but the thing we're going to definitely have to work on with you, and that's why you have a coach, is we're going to have to work on what your 3 pillars are, right? And those are going to be the unique things that you bring to the table. And a lot of times, the way people present it is they do it very wrong. They don't really understand like either A, what the top 3 things really are, or B, how to present it. And again, these are strangers, right? Like even you and me, like we've had a little interaction, but I would say for the most part, we're still strangers, right? Like if we're homies or like you've known me for a long time. Right. So, just to answer your question, though, we have all that stuff. And that's part, again, is like you're getting everything we've ever used to build our company to multiple 8 figures, like kind of handed over to you. And it's like we're licensing it to you. So you can just go and use it at will. We're not going to like sue you or like any crazy stuff. It's like, hey, if you want to rip and do exactly what we just do it, obviously like you're selling something different. So that, I want to do literally the same thing. But yeah, you still have the same context and structure, all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. And then as far as like brand creation with like kind of, like to have you started to like getting a name started with like getting a logo, kind of like helping with like, starting like just social media pages like you guys did in that as well.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I will tell you though is like do not get too caught up in like the logo or your branding to start. And the only reason I say that is you can always do that later. It doesn't matter as much as you think. The biggest thing I'm going to tell you to focus on is getting those first sales. But to also answer your question, yes, like we'll help you with your social media stuff. We actually have like example posts and scripts. Like we try to make it. You have to do work obviously because it's done with you. Like and we know at the end of the day, like even if I ran your business for you, it wouldn't make sense because people are like, well, I'm like, well, why would I run your business when I can run mine? It doesn't make any sense at that point. But we want to make it as easy for you as possible where you're like downloading stuff and you can paste it or you just make a couple tweaks and you can use it. Like we don't, otherwise it's like, if we're not going to do that, it's like, why don't you just go do it on your own, right? We have to start everything from scratch. It's like, it's a waste of time. We're trying to speed it up. So yeah, we have anything you can pretty much think of. We're going to have templates for scripts or to-dos or like show you how to edit it, how to fit your niche, all that type of stuff. Yeah. I just would say this is just like a helpful hint. Like don't get too lost on like, the branding or like, what it is or whatever, because I know when I started my company, I wasted probably 2-3 years struggling because I got so lost in like minor details. And then once you start making money, I mean, money kind of fixes everything. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, cool. Like, all right, I'm making money. Like I want to make a cool logo, whatever. But anyway, that might be a little TMI, but hopefully that answered everything.
No, absolutely. And okay, let's say like in the call, I'm like, hey, everything looks good. Let's go for it. How much time do you think it would take if I had 20 to 30 hours weekly to like get this thing started?
Well, so define get started. Like what does that mean to you?
Like get it off the ground and like you've done this, so you know, it's like if I dedicated 30 like solid hours of deep work, 20 to 30 hours weekly, how much time do you think it would take to get my first sale with working with you guys?
That's a great question. I love that question. So it could be, we've seen people do it in the first couple of days. We see some people do it in the first week, in the first couple of weeks. Most of our clients, like they will get, I'd say like 80 to 90% of our clients will get the first sale in the first 30 days. The reason we set you up that way is to take sales-based activities. So like, let me just give you a random example. Let's say we help you figure out a way to have 100 conversations a day with people who are landscapers. Okay. Yeah. Let's say out of 100, 70 ignore you and 30 don't. And then out of 30, let's say you get 5 calls, you close 1. Again, we're not talking crazy numbers here. Well, if you think about it, we typically will try to show you, to start, we want you to do stuff that's free because you're already going to pay us to come in. So we don't want to like, hey, pay us to come in. And then also here's, you got to spend another $20 million on this. Like, it's like, hey, let's get some couple deals and then those deals fund your business. So for example, you can usually on average with what we're going to show you, start about 20 new conversations an hour. So if that in 5 hours, if you send 100 conversations and you follow the process, you hypothetically have your first sale. The difference is going to be how much sales ability you already have. What I mean by that is, if we get somebody who comes in and has done sales, they typically can they understand what we're teaching a lot faster and they move quicker because they make less mistakes. So depending on that, that's the only reason I can't give you a concrete, but I would say like, if you're putting in 20 to 30 hours a week and you're focusing solely on money making activities, like you're not doing stupid stuff like, hey, I'm going to do this. I did my brand and that, like, it's like you really need to focus on sales. Like I would say like 1 to 4 weeks is like kind of what you should aim for. 1 is like, you're really good. 4 is like, you're not as good. And that's what we typically see. If you take longer than that, then you're not taking it seriously because it's not like we're teaching rocket science. It is hard, like it's a skill, but it's really the better you are at speaking to people and the faster you pick stuff up, the faster you'll make your sales.
Right. And, I'm definitely like, I do all the sales for my company. And like when I had my other landscape company, I had a nursery, and with a nursery, I'd probably talk to 10 to 20 people pretty much every single day, like selling them on plants and large palms ranging from, some people would only sell like $20, but I sold some people that I never met, didn't know who I was from campaign to, $10 to $20,000 projects. And, I have no doubt in my ability to sell people once I get them on the phone and kind of, talk to them about the process and get them like I said, thinking in value instead of just price. So,
yeah.
The only thing that I'm just kind of hesitant on is like the fact that I've just never done anything online. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's kind of where like I'm like shaky because I'm like I've never done anything online. Everything's always been like word of mouth and like a little bit online on Facebook Marketplace and some organic on Facebook, but that's pretty much the extent of it. So that's where I'd have to have some serious help, I think.
Yeah, but the good news is and I totally get where you're coming from. But what I've seen from the most successful people I've met, like I'm close friends with, like there's one guy but there's other guys that you might recognize that are pretty influential. Is they always are reinventing themselves. Like for example, started off owning gyms, then he started teaching people about gyms. Now he's moved into kind of like the broad general business market. He wrote books. Then he started YouTube. Now he's doing like I think the thing that I really see like the feeling you got when you first started landscaping, you're probably really nervous and scared. So it's like the more often you feel that way when you do new things, I see those people grow more because you get comfortable, and then when something new comes up, like but I know how to do this. I think if you can kind of embrace that feeling and kind of forge ahead, that's when you're growing because you can't do the same thing for like the guys that do the same thing, not always, but like the guys who sometimes just do the same thing for 20, 30 years, it's like, if it's the wrong vehicle to get you to that 8 figures, it's like, it's the wrong vehicle. So you can work as hard as you want, but it's not the vehicle. And that's part of also why I shifted is like, he was in a great vehicle for 8 figures, but now he's going for 10 figures, right? He's going for the big one. So I think you're on the right path where you're kind of realizing like, hey, I have a great landscaping business, but it's limited to like local area and I get to have a lot of staff. And so like, I get what you're saying, but I think you even being open to being on this call is like, it's definitely a good step in the right direction, 100%.
Yeah. And then that's honestly like my only fear. You really made a great point. It's like kind of like the first time I started with the landscape and it was like super tough. But once I did it, and now I can tell people in my sleep with landscape projects and do landscape projects like in my sleep. Like I can pull up and tell you exactly what's going on, how to do it, what needs to happen. So I totally get it there. It's probably something I just gotta get my feet wet and then I can dive right in. But as far as I noticed that you had like a bunch of like automation, as far as like texting and email and like reaching out, like I saw like your ads a bunch on like social media. So do you guys help with that as well as far as like getting people to see your content like over and over and over to the point where like you can get like someone on a call like this quickly, like But
no, yeah, 100%, man. So that goes back to that faucet system where we're going to show you how to just hit them from all angles. And so the thing you're talking about specifically, we call it Elite 360. It's like a full circle. And so that's going to be all your automated text, automated emails, your funnels, your CRM, your contact list. Like it'll feel, like again, just basically what we do is we make it when you click a button, it downloads into your software and then you just edit out the things you want. So like you're not building it from scratch. It's like we'll already have like a 7-day email sequence for you, and we'll have X amount of text messages, and we'll have your funnel that you go in. And so we make all these like stuff that's so it's set up, so you're not just starting from scratch. Because if it was, you get overwhelmed. Because you look at like a blank, it'd be like me saying, hey, like to an architect, it's like who's never done it. You're like, hey, here's a blank sheet of paper, like make me a design to like build a building. They're like, yo, dude, but I'm like, hey, dude, don't worry. Like here's kind of like our starter kit, and then just edit in the fine detail. So it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of what it's going to be like for you.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because again, like otherwise, it just defeats the purpose of you working with us. Because it's like if we're not going to help you get all the all the hard stuff out of the way, then it's not worth it. The only stuff you really have to do on your own is like the sales calls. Like we can coach you, but it's like we're not taking the sales calls for you. We're not going to like respond to people for you. We're not going to coach your clients for you.
If you guys were doing that, you could want to call the one. I thought.
Yeah, like and then some people will ask us that. I'm like, yeah, but dude, like then what are you doing? I got to keep 100% of it. Yeah, like you can't.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, I totally understand that. That makes perfect sense. And then as far as like the offer creation of like helping me craft an offer to like the clientele that I want, like landscape owners that are making this amount, like would you guys be able to help me out with like the pricing, helping out with like guarantees, like how to structure the offer to where like it just like is a no-brainer for them?
Of course. So those three pillars we're talking about, that's a very simplistic way of me saying like, what are the top three reasons someone should work with you? And so when we do that, what I'm going to do is like, first we'll look at what everyone else, typically you're like trying to see what is everyone else doing or what is everyone else promising. You want to say the exact opposite things in an ethical way. And so that's 100% something we're going to need to teach you, because again, if you don't, what you'll get on the call, if you just like a lot of people, they do, for example, let me give you one. This is what trainers will say. They'll say, all right, man, so I'm going to give you a program and it's going to be a customized diet, customized training, and you get accountability coaching at $5,000. And you're like, well, bro, the guy down the street said the same thing. It's like $500 like every 3 months. Like that is a huge issue we'll see with trainers. So it's going to be the same thing. Like I built a multi-million-dollar fitness company because I said exactly the opposite of what those trainers said. And yeah, I did the same things. Like I had customized training and diets and stuff like that, but you can't present it that way because everyone assumes they already know what it is, right? Like if you have to present it in a sexy kind of unique way, it's kind of like bulletproof coffee. When that came out, it's still kind of big now, but they're like, oh, so like I drink butter in my coffee and I can lose weight. It wasn't too crazy that no one would believe it, but it was just crazy enough where people were like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So we definitely, like A to Z will help you through that. And that's the first thing we start with when you come in the program before we start with anything else. We got to get that part down, because if we don't get that down, and it's like, we don't get that down and then you can't make sales, the whole business model crumbles. Like we can set up all the infrastructure and the funnels and the text and the back end, but it's like, you can't make sales. And so we definitely focus on that to begin with, because that's like your number one priority. It's like your foundation of your house.
Absolutely. Yeah. You get a good offer, you pretty much have a hard time not making money.
Yeah. And again, the benefit for you is the more unique it is, the less competition. So what will happen is as you go out in the industry and you kind of make your name, you'll be one of the only guys to go to. Again, like brilliant, but think about it. There weren't a lot of people doing what he said he could do. So he had a great offer. He executed it properly, and there wasn't a lot of other people who said they could do it. So like, that's what I do like about your offer, is it's very unique. Like there's not going to be, I bet you take another 1,000 calls. I don't have another guy that says he does landscapers and he wants to help landscapers make money. Like it's very unique. And that's going to be a competitive edge where it'll allow you to make more mistakes, where you don't have to be perfect on sales calls, or you don't have to have a perfect funnel. Like it's going to give you a lot of leeway that some guys like I say in my industry over the years, as it's gotten more competitive, it's not that these guys have the same results, but it's like you're competing with all these other guys running ads, and people are, well, I saw this guy's ad, I saw that guy's ad, and you're like, oh my gosh, versus you might be the only guy who runs that offer. I mean, like they might only see him and like, well, I either work with him or I don't work with anyone. So they'll pick you almost by default, which is a huge advantage.
Absolutely. No, 100%. And then, I don't we didn't go over it entirely, but like one part of my offer, like I would go to like the landscapers that I think I would need the most help on. I think you touched briefly on it, but kind of with like getting people like, immediate clients, like off of like Facebook ads and messaging and sales training, you'll be able to help me incorporate that into the offer and be able to kind of teach me how to teach them. Correct?
Oh, dude, 100%. So like the cool part, like here's the funny part. The stuff we're going to teach you, you can literally use that to teach your clients. But you're going to be like, oh, like I could use this in the landscaping business. So then all you do is you incorporate that in your program. That's part, like, just so you know my journey, I didn't start doing this. The way I started is I was actually in the same industry, but I was the in-person guy and I was the online guy. That was kind of our reputation.
Oh, okay.
And then I took a multi-million-dollar online fitness company, and then trainers started asking me for help. And so I would help the guys in the gyms and I would help the guys online. And then as I got bigger, it expanded into what I do now. So the cool part is like, what do you think they asked me to do? They're like, can you show me what you're doing in your business? You're like, okay. And then you just literally show them what you did and what you're learning. Because as I learn new stuff, it's what people want to know, what I'm learning. So it's kind of funny. It's like, it kind of self-feeds itself. Not only does it help grow your business, but it helps your clients grow theirs. That's why it's kind of fun.
Right. No, 100%. And this is a question, like you might not be able to answer, but do you think it would make more sense for me to like stay in the landscaping company and say like at the end, like let's say like I wanted to launch it like and really have it like perfect, for the next 3 months, and into this year be like, I netted this amount and I'm going to show you how, and like keep my landscaping company now? Or do you think honestly going full force into like the online model with what I've already done, do you think like I would have the, reputation enough to like be able to sell it? Because at the end of the day, like the main reason I'll tell you now that I haven't really made a decision is like, I just don't really think I had like enough, the reputation of saying like, hey, look, I made $1 million a year off of landscaping. I can teach you how.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to point out, like, it's not normal to talk this long usually, where it sits in the same part, but because he's a beginner and he has a million questions, that's why it's taking longer, but it's not a problem. It's just not normal. He has a lot more questions than average, but the call is still at number 5. Like, it hasn't moved. We're still right here. He just has a million questions, which is fine because he's never done it before. So they're going to have more questions than someone who's been in business. That's all that is.
Like the kind of the biggest thing that like was hold me back, and I still think hold me back from the decision to like go fully online. Yeah. We'll just talk about that. So you've been there, done it, so you'll know.
Yeah, these are great questions. So there's 2 points I'd like to make. So the first point is all it comes down to is that you can get people results. Like it can help to like be like, hey, I've done this and that. But at the end of the day, dude, no one gives a how they get the result. They just want the result. Like I could come to you and say, look, jump off the building and parachute, and you'll have $1 million in your bank account. You believe me, bro? I'm gonna do it. You don't care. It's just that's not how it works. So that's number 1. Number 2 is I'll give you some advice. So I was talking to him recently. Was like, hey, I'm kind of thinking about my next business. I don't know if I should start it yet. I'm kind of saying what you were saying, and he just said, like, dude, at the end of the day, you have to give us something good to build something great. And so I think for you, you have a good thing going, but spending more time on the good thing isn't going to help you build the great thing. And I don't think it's necessary. Like if you can get them results and you want to get to the next level, this has higher leverage than what you're currently doing. And remember, the game of wealth is all about leverage. So you have more leverage if you do this. So that I would recommend you go, like if I was you, I would do it ASAP because it's you doing 3 more months to make more money and saying, I made this much more money isn't going to make it hell of a to the guy who pays you. The guy just wants to know, bro. Like, it's just like, hey, I know how to do this. I know how to make you money. This is what we're going to work on. This is what's going to be different than everyone else. Let's rock and roll. That's all that matters. Like no one's when helping people. He actually had like 6 gyms and then he sold them all and started helping people. And I don't think he let it. He was just like, hey, look, like I'll help you make money and you just split what we make. I mean, that's all he really did. He wasn't like pitching how many gyms he had and stuff like that. He just would tell people like, hey, I'll just split half with you or whatever. And we'll come up with your offer and that makes sense. Sometimes it makes sense to do stuff like that. Sometimes it makes sense to charge up front. But yeah, I think hopefully I answered your question. Like I would just start right away because I don't think 3 more months is going to do anything.
No, and like you said, you make a good point. It's like this is definitely without a shadow of a doubt it's a higher leverage opportunity, and I've just kind of been hesitant to take it. And this year was like like I told you before, I broke up with my brother as far as like a business.
Yes.
I broke apart our business, and I just want to like jump into something that I knew I was good at, just start making money, which I did immediately. It's just getting the people, the first couple clients. Like that's like one thing that's like I want to like be able to like master before I do it. And that's what I think I might do in my own business first, and then end up launching the program.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, do you got any other questions? Those are all great questions.
No, I mean you covered everything, man, for sure. And definitely very in depth, and definitely a good call.
Yeah, awesome, man. So from here, you tell me kind of what you like to do. The next thing would be like pricing, packaging. If you're feeling pretty good, if you're not feeling good, then we wrap up. But you kind of tell me how you're feeling. We'll go from there.
I'm definitely feeling good. I definitely want to make.
Okay, creating certainty. And notice how I don't. You guys hear I don't care. I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you want to wrap the call up, we'll do that. If you want to. I don't care. The more you do that, the better you'll be at sales. Nobody wants to feel high pressure or that you're desperate. Nobody likes that. Okay.
I definitely would like to hear about the pricing and packaging. You just let me know so you can kind of go over it for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So the program with the one-to-one, the portal, the group calls, the funnel, the scripts, anything you can think of, it's a 4-month program and a $16,000 investment.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And is it all up front, or can I do like monthly payments?
Yeah, man. So I always tell people, I mean, I just always say the same thing. I think our best clients pay in full, and that helps them stay super committed because basically you have no way out. It's like once you commit that amount of cash, it's like I'm doing this or like I'm like that type of commitment. But what I would say for you is like it just comes down to kind of like your cash on hand situation, and then obviously if you want to do it, like that's the biggest thing. You want to do it. If you do want to do it, then I always try to make sure there's a way that you can do it. If that makes sense.
Right. No, I mean I definitely have the cash on hand. But you did say it's a 4-month program. So with like the one-on-one and kind of like everything that you went over in the call. Is it with the 4 months? Is it like it's not like a lifetime access thing? Like is it just like that 4-month window, and then you kind of have to, the 16,000 for every 4 months?
Great question. So yeah, it's 16,000 for the 4 months. Now, if like for some reason we need to give you extra time, or like you need to pause for something, or like something comes up, we will extend it. But typically, like what the goal is the reason we do that way is, to be quite honest, if we don't have a timeline, we just see people don't push because there's just like I don't know, man. It's just like that invisible hand that kind of pushes you. And 4 months is like you have to make one sale. So if we sell your product at 15 or 20K, you got to make one sale in 4 months. And so our mindset's like, this guy can't do one sale a month. Yeah, you're not in it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because what some people do, we had it in the past where we had lifetime, but what happened is some people will literally disappear for a year and come back, and we're like, bro, like what? Like they just disappear. But yeah, at the end of the 4 months, you can either like re-up, you can upgrade, you can stay, you can take like a lower payment option, you can do whatever you want. But like the goal in the first 4 months is like we want to help you make your initial sales, and like on average, I don't know if you look at our PDFs, but our average client by the end is doing at least about 27 to 30K a month. Right. And so for you, especially if you're only selling 3 deals, that's not that crazy. It's like 1 deal a week. That's not that crazy, especially if you're doing like 100 leads, 10 book a call, 5 sales calls, you close one. It's not, because even me, dude, like I'm not trying to close every call. Like, I'm just literally on the call and I'm just trying to do my best to serve. And then if you do that, you'll close the call you're supposed to close. You're not going to convince someone who doesn't want to get help to get help. They have to kind of do that on their own.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you 100%. And let me say the only reason that I'm hesitant to do this right now is like, as you know, you've been there, done that. Like right now, I'm kind of like a solopreneur where I have a team of guys that's filling with the installation, and I have people that like I'm still fulfilling on as far as like with all the landscape installations that I have.
So he's going to use a time objection. He's like, I don't have time. So watch what I do.
And I really want to talk to my accountant on how I go about it to kind of go full force into this. And like, if I can have a write-off on this, to be totally honest with like the business that I have. And that's really the only reason I wouldn't move forward with it today is kind of just tying off the loose end. Cause I'm going to go with what you told me to do is like in 3 months, from now saying that I made X amount doesn't make sense, but I have like fulfillments right now that I pretty much have to put almost every single hour. Like I work like 60 hours a week, usually on regular, and I got to get these clients that I have that have already given me deposits and get those fulfilled. And then I'm going to stop taking clients and go with you and I'm just going to go full force on this.
Okay. So and I appreciate the transparency, man. Like that's my favorite way to do it. So just so I'm clear, And again, just be super transparent because like there's no pressure on my end. Everything sounds good. You want to move forward, but if I'm understanding you correctly, you just want to be able to kind of tie
Isolate the objection.
off your fulfillment. Like you're basically finishing your last client and then you're going to move into this. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I want to go full force on this. I don't want to put 20, 30 hours a week in it. I want to put like.
You don't give a solution until you isolate. Once you understand it, then you can give the solution. And because he's already committed, oh, this is the only thing it is, I can beat it.
60 hours a week, because what you're saying makes sense, man. Like if I put all my time and knowledge into just doing this and just, like you said yourself, getting one client for a week, then I'll be making more than I make now, and I can do that myself. And like,
yeah, your margins are higher too, because you don't have anything, like the fulfillment is information. Information costs nothing. You make it once with your time and you're done. Obviously, like there'll be some questions, but yeah, like when you're doing landscaping, I mean, you're spending a bunch. Okay, so question for you is, going off what you just said, when would you anticipate that you would be done kind of like fulfilling? Because like that's what your concern is. So like is that like a month, a week, 2 months? Like, what does that kind of look like?
Right now, with like, and this is, obviously with landscaping, nothing's ever set in stone. Like, sometimes jobs take longer, sometimes jobs take shorter, but I'm like about a month out with clients as far as like booked out with people that have already given me deposits that, because I don't want to be half-assed into this, man, to be totally honest with you, because I don't want to, like I said, be put in, all amount of my time in it. Like I'd rather put 100% of all my time into this. And I think I can really, I know I can make it work if I did that.
No, dude, 100%. Okay, so here's my suggestion. You kind of let me know what you're thinking, but this is what I would suggest in this situation. So I totally get what you're saying, because like from your standpoint, what I'm kind of hearing is, dude, like, I got to finish these clients off, and then if I have to start my 4 months, and then like the clock's ticking, and then like I'm still like, I get that, because then you have a split focus. So here's what I would typically do in this situation. Granted, this goes back to what you said earlier, like as long as you want to move forward. If you want to move forward, then I try to find ways where you can move forward now, but it also doesn't hurt you. So what I would recommend, if that's the only thing you're concerned about, is if you can go ahead and put down something today, right, where we can agree to, then what I can do is I can give you free time in the program until you're ready for the green light. And the benefit of that is like, even let's say hypothetically, like I don't have a lot of time to do it. The benefit is you get in, you get onboarded with your coach. Maybe you can watch a couple videos here and there to start. You can come in on the group calls. Maybe you can listen.
It's called buying them time. So basically they get course access, but they don't get any one-to-one. So it doesn't matter. And I closed the deal today.
At the gym or something like that. And then when you actually start, let's say you start in a month, month and a half, whatever. Yeah. Then when you actually start your clock, you've already had like a month, month and a half of getting up on some of the materials. So when you actually do start, you have a massive advantage because you've already gotten like 40, 45 days extra. So I don't always do this, but I understand where you're coming from. So like to me, as long as you do want to move forward and you feel comfortable with that, that's what I recommend. Also keep in mind, this is a write-off. So anything like coaching or courses, whatever, it's 100% a write-off. Even if it wasn't from your business. Yeah, it always counts.
Notice how I don't sound desperate and I'm just doing what is best for him. And I don't usually do this. So everything I'm saying is 100% true. None of it's sleazy. It's all straightforward, ethical, flows like butter.
It's a write-off. So like any type of coaching and stuff, because you can always write off as a business expense because it's like education and stuff like that. So all the stuff I do for this, it's professional services, et cetera. You can always write it off. So that's what I recommend. What are your thoughts on that?
I like it, man. Yeah. How about if I put down $1,000 today and we have this, call again on November 1st or like right at the end of October, the beginning of November. And like, I'm going to talk, not that I don't believe you, but I want to talk to my accountant first and, make sure that, like I said, it's 100% write off with like my business account and kind of go about figuring out how to kind of move forward with just doing this.
Okay. And then so typically, I don't even think we'll call it. Do you go by Joseph or Joe?
Joe.
So Joe, typically what I would do is like, I don't know, like, because I'm a little hesitant to give you access only for 1,000 because you're gonna be going through our material. What would you say if you could do 4, and then we have a call in a month, and then from there we can work out the rest of the payment plan? With the caveat, if you have an issue with your accountant, I think you said your accountant or whatever, like that's fine. You text me and we'll figure it out because like you are gonna get access to the portal. So the only thing I don't want to do is like I never like try to keep someone locked in who doesn't want to be in. But at the same time, it's like you're basically getting full access to everything. Would something like that be okay?
I completely understand where you come from there. So yeah, no, that's okay. That'll work with me.
Okay. Cool. All right. So what we'll do then is I'm going to set this up right now. We'll put down that initial payment. Then what I'm going to do is I send you over the agreement. The agreement is basically make sure like we didn't steal your information, that type of stuff. Once you fill that out, we'll get you in. And then I'm going to schedule, before we hang the call up, then we'll schedule your next call. So all I need from you right now is I have this pulled up. I just need whichever credit card you're going to put this on, and then we'll get that process and we're ready to rock.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the card right now.
My man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate the call, man. I'm super excited about it. I didn't have to call because I've been hesitant on getting it done, and I really needed to hear it from someone like you, man. Because you're the type of guy I aspire to be, and I really think working with you, I can I think with my work ethic and my skills now, I probably won't be where you're at as fast because you seem like a sharp guy. I can definitely see myself becoming becoming a millionaire off of this. Not saying that I'm like a short-minded guy. Like, if this takes me a couple years, I wouldn't even mind it. I just want to be able to get something out there that's actually going to help people, and I think you're the guy that's going to be able to help me do that.
No, and dude, you can definitely do it. And like, I like the questions. You definitely care. I think even like how you're trying to be careful with stuff. Like, there's nothing you said that like, I listen to see like if anything doesn't match up or it's not logical. Like the whole call was very logical. So yeah, I think this will be great. We'll get you in. You'll get a free month head start. I'll schedule a call at the end of the month. You also have my personal cell. So if you have any questions or something comes up, you just text me, and I'll be staying in touch with you the whole time. Like, I won't annoy you, but you'll see like I'm pretty on top of my stuff, and like I check in on my guys. So yeah, dude, it'll be good. So yeah, I'm ready.
And one other thing too, right before, let's say this is the last question I got.
No, you're good.
With starting it with 0 followers, do you think like that it'll be possible within the first 2 months, 3 months, we'll at least get in 1 sale or 2 sales to pay for the program?
It's not about followers. That's the thing. So like, think of it this way: if it was about followers, then you would know more billionaires, but you don't. I know that sounds weird, but the thing that like we get caught with is social media. The only people you see are the people who have a lot of followers, right? Mm-hmm. So you get caught in the believing that
all this stuff is belief, right? It's fear. So as long as you just explain away the fear over and over again, you're good. It's just all fear. There's no real objection. He's just scared because he's never done it. So notice how you just answer it very calmly, collectively. You explain it away. You're good. That's all belief. All this is belief. There's no price issue. There's no spouse. There's no time. He's scared. So even that question, he's like, okay, and just, it's okay. I don't have a following, right? That's all fear-based.
You need a lot of followers to make a lot of money, but it helps. Don't get me wrong, like Kim Kardashian, does it help? Of course, but that's a misconception. And to go to Zeus, I only bring it up every time because that's the guy we both know. Alex had 3,000 YouTube subs until his book launched last year or 2 years ago. He had 3,000 YouTube subs, and he just sold his company for 46 million at like 50%. So it's like, don't get caught in that. It has nothing to do with it. It can help, but it has nothing to do with it. If it did, I would have to disclose that. I would be like, yo, bro, like you don't have at least 10,000 followers. Like it's not relevant. So to answer yeah.
Yeah, because he did it. Because he did with no followers, right? Pretty much.
Yep, 100%, man. So it's like, I don't see why you couldn't do it in this industry because no one's doing it. Like, I mean, there's no one, I don't know anyone I've talked to who's doing it.
No, I'm with you, man. Like I said, I definitely, I trust it for sure. And could you send me over are you sending me over the agreement?
So what I usually do is I just process it right over the phone, and then you'll get an immediate receipt.
Other thing is be calm. So he's like, yeah, can you send me the agreement? And some people freak out and they're like, oh, well, I just am like, yeah. So I usually take the payment, just be super chill. Like nothing's wrong. It's not a big deal. I do this every day. It's like a walk in the park.
And then right after you get the receipt, I send the agreement. And then if there's any issues, you just let me know. Does that work?
Yeah, no, it definitely works. I honestly never made a big purchase like this. You know what I mean? But,
I get it. And that's why I want to take extra time with you, and I get it. But I promise, like, 16,000 seems like a lot right now. Well, you're only paying a portion of it. But even so, it's when you make one sale, it's the whole program and some, and then everything after that's profit. So we try to make it where it's like you're paying us basically one sale and everything else after that's yours. That's kind of how we do it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. I'm going to give you the card info. The card info is.
Don't want you guys to hear that part. So yeah, that's it. That's it for today. Hope you guys got a lot of value out of it. Tomorrow we're going to be covering client fulfillment and then Ascension. As always, guys, you're going to get all the scripts. You're going to get all the videos, all the scripts, all the trainings. It's all free. All we are doing this week is we're doing the webinars. Next week, we're going to post all the videos on YouTube all at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. They're all going to link. They'll be in a playlist. And then the playlist underneath will have all the info and the scripts and things you're looking for. And then you just go implement and make a bunch of money. That's it. So hopefully that helped. That's it, guys. Like it's doable. You can make a lot of money. All you have to do is put in the work. And if you're not good at the skill, do it until you're good. That's it. You don't have to have any special credentials. You don't have to, be born in a certain country. It's just like you can do whatever you want to do. It's all in your mind. Okay. It's all up here in between your head. So as long as you're willing to do the work, everything I'm showing you is what I do. You just saw me do it. It's literally exactly what I use. That's a $16,000 deal. Some of you guys can't even fathom, getting a $6,000 deal or a $600 deal. It's doable, right? And as you get better, as you take more reps, you make less mistakes, and then it gets even easier. And then you can listen to a call like this and go, wow, right? But when I started, I wasn't very good, but I was just willing to suck until I was good. So just put in your 1,000 reps. We'll have all this done next week. I'll see you guys tomorrow at, let me see if there's any questions. I think we're good. I'll see. Yeah. Hold on. Do you notify us by email? Yeah. I'll notify you. And guys, just check my YouTube. Thanks for hanging in with me today. I know it was a long day. Tomorrow we'll go into client fulfillment. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.